In the DC world, I start with Ultraman. While this video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyright or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Zinjiro. My sacrifice is too great. In a black bar on Earth North, National City, Jello took the vodka that the bartender reluctantly brought out, opened the bottle cap, smelled it, and then started blowing directly into the bottle. Damn, how can this girl drink so much? The bartender was secretly shocked when he saw this. He slammed the empty bottle heavily on the bar, making a sound. Jello's action attracted the attention of other people in the bar. Many people focused on this young and beautiful girl with delicate features, good alcohol tolerance. Sizzle, sizzle, so beautiful, someone drooled. Get out of the way, that's my target. A man wearing a motorcycle jacket, a hedgehog head, and 4 or 5 lipsticks on his mouth pushed through the crowd and sat next to Jello. The fish is hooked, Jello thought to himself. This time, Jello came out just to make something happen to attract the attention of the group of people and pass on wrong information. If they think that something happened to Revan, Jello would be even happier. Jello really wanted to see how anxious the group of people would be when they knew that the target they were looking for was missing. Would you like to have a drink, miss? The hedgehog-headed man deliberately lowered his voice and pretended to be very charming to chat with Jello. No. Jello replied coldly. What about smoking, dancing and racing? The hedgehog-headed man told Jello all the tricks he usually used to pick up girls. Jello said, "You're better than me in these things." But Jello now has to maintain the persona of a rebellious girl, and she has to always have an expression that looks like she is not happy with anyone, and she has to use a fearless tone. That's it. While talking, Jello deliberately used telekinesis to interfere with the other party's judgment, making the hedgehog-headed man more likely to get angry. Don't be shameless. The hedgehog-headed man roared and reached out to grab Jello. Get out of here. Jello shouted softly, and then slapped the other party in the face. Pa! A very clear and loud sound echoed in the black bar. The hedgehog head who was slapped had red eyes and a low roar in his throat. This is the territory of Bossmkan. I'm giving him face. You'd better not leave here. After saying the harsh words, the hedgehog head left Jello. Everything he needed was in place. Jello stayed in the bar for a while and rejected several people's approaching. It was about 9 o'clock, almost 10 o'clock, when Jello left the bar. Walking on the road with a somewhat unstable step, Jello wondered why that guy didn't show up, so Jello walked for a while and walked to a place where few people came during the day. Then he heard the sound of a vehicle. A van with graffiti quickly stopped in front of Jello, the door opened, and 2 gangsters jumped out of it. What do you want to do? Jello shouted. Of course I'll make you pay the price. Although he was wearing a mask, the hedgehog with a very conspicuous hairstyle roared behind Jello, and then hit Jello on the back of the neck with a baseball bat. Fortunately, Jello adjusted the strength of the back of the neck, otherwise the baseball bat would have broken first. Bang! After a muffled sound, Jello fell to the ground in a pretentious manner. Seeing this, several gangsters hurriedly carried Jello to the van, and even did not forget to rub oil on Jello in the process. In fact, Jello, who was not in any trouble at all, secretly remembered all this in his heart, and promised that they would have a good harvest later. The van drove all the way out of National City and came to a long abandoned gas station. The bonfire made of several oil barrels was one of the few lights. Several gangsters carried Jello out of the car, and the hedgehog rubbed his palms, with a very obscene smile on his face. You were so arrogant before, weren't you? Now you're in my hands, hee. I'm going to do it. Hedgehog-headed smiled evilly and stretched out his dirty hands, but he didn't notice that the surroundings were much brighter. Boss! There's a meteor in the sky. A younger brother shouted. A meteor is just a meteor, don't bother me when I'm doing something good. Hedgehog-headed replied impatiently. No, boss, that meteor is coming towards us. The younger brother's frightened voice attracted Hedgehog-headed's attention. Hedgehog-headed turned his head and then saw a huge fireball flying towards him. In an instant, this gangster was so scared that he couldn't walk, and watched the meteor fall. After a loud boom, the meteor fell next to the abandoned gas station. Seeing this, Jello didn't pretend anymore, and stood up from the ground with a somersault, while restoring his original appearance and wiping his makeup, but Jello's clothes couldn't be transformed, but Jello still had a combat uniform to wear. After changing into combat uniforms, Jello first gave each of the gangsters physical amnesia, and then he walked to their side of the shooting star. Is this an escape ship? Jello thought, looking at the alien escape ship in front of him that was only big enough for one person. However, due to the sudden entry into the atmosphere, this alien escape ship has been broken and can no longer be used. He stepped forward and opened the door cover of the alien escape ship. A beautiful woman who was very beautiful even by Earth's aesthetics appeared in front of Jello. Although she had orange skin, her long red hair and curvy figure, her face could not interpret the word queen more perfectly, and she was wearing purple alien clothes. Starfire. After thinking for 2 seconds, Jello remembered the name of the alien beauty in front of him. He could not remember her name, but only remembered that her code name was Starfire. But at this time, Starfire was still unconscious. Jello touched her chin twice, and then used telekinesis to lift the unconscious Starfire away from the escape ship. Afterwards, Jello stuck the alien escape ship into the broken watch, disguised the scene as if he had been here, and then took Starfire back to the temporary air raid shelter base. When he opened the door, he found that the other three were all there. Seeing that Jello had brought back an alien, Dick looked a little strange. Why did you bring back an alien? After settling Starfire down, Jello explained the matter to the three people. I can't leave her there, can I? No matter what the reason is, leaving her there is an unstable factor. Jello said to the three people. But how can we communicate with her? Raven asked. I have a cosmic translator and telepathy, and I will always find a way to make her understand us. While talking, Jello released Starfire's spaceship. Looking at the tattered spaceship, Dick held his forehead helplessly and began to complain. You were really good at picking up things. You picked up a spaceship and a living alien every time you went out. Family inheritance. Jello walked around behind Dick. As for what happens after this beautiful woman wakes up, I will leave it to you. I believe you are capable. You picked up things and want me to deal with them. Get lost. Chapter misleading. Earth Nord National City on February 10, 2015, 2 days after Jello's whereabouts were exposed by pretending to be Raven, Shimmer, Miss Fortune, and Mammoth blocked a thug who had witnessed Raven's trouble in a bar, followed Raven all the way, and finally saw Raven being taken away by Hedgehog Head in an alley, trying to interrogate him for information. I've told you everything I know. She was taken away by that guy. I don't know where she went in the end. The thug was trapped in the ground by Shimmer's superpowers, with only his head exposed. There were many bruises on his face, his left eye socket was abnormally swollen, and blood was hanging from the corner of his mouth. He looked quite miserable. Looking at the thug who kept begging for mercy, Miss Fortune put down the gun in his hand and said to Shimmer, what he said doesn't sound like a lie, and his identity is too low. We should catch a guy with a little status. No, it would be bad if the noise was too loud and attracted that guy. Shimmer frowned and denied. Having lost the clues at this time, Wei Guan was also very worried. After all, she didn't want to go back and face those three guys. She would literally become food then, but it would also be a very unwise choice to lure Jello here. Sister, what should we do next? The big guy Mammoth asked Wei Guan like a helpless child. Wei Guan sighed, I'm your sister, brother, not your sister. It's true that Mammoth's superpowers are very strong, but the price is his IQ. Years of using superpowers have made it difficult for Mammoth to do addition and subtraction within 10. He can't even remember whether Wei Guan is his sister or sister. Looking at the gangster who was still begging for mercy, Doom asked for the last time, where did the car go? Tell me. It may be the guy's lair. There is an abandoned gas station there. They usually go there. The fearful gangster quickly replied. Doom continued to ask, what's the direction? Drive all the way to the east of National City. The gangster replied. We have the direction, let's go. Doom said to the two. Then, the three of them set off in the direction of the abandoned gas station, leaving only the gangster who was still trapped in the ground. Help! Someone save me! The wailing echoed in the alley. About an hour later, when the gangster completely gave up hope, he felt a sense of relief all over his body. He blinked and found that he had been lying on the ground for a long time. You did a good job, this is a reward. A faint voice came from behind that gangster. The gangster looked around but did not find any figure. At this time, above the clouds of National City, Jello was watching the three people who had rushed to the abandoned gas station. Not many people knew that the abandoned gas station was hit by a meteor. Due to the increasing number of superpowered events in recent years, the agent organizations under the Lighthouse government will suppress some events, such as the Starfire incident this time. In addition, Jello covered it up again, resulting in no media coverage. In the archives of many agent organizations, this incident has also become an ordinary action of Ultraman. Arriving at the abandoned gas station with ruins everywhere, both Wei Wang and Miss Fortune showed sorrow on their faces. Only Mammoth was still stupid and didn't know what happened. It's that guy. Wei Wang looked at the instrument in her hand, and the familiar reading gave her a headache. Her brother was injured by energy with similar readings not long ago. How could she not remember this energy? Connecting everything, Miss Fortune speculated, it should be that the girl temporarily left the three guys and went to the bar. After coming out, she was kidnapped by a few gangsters and brought here, but Ultraman appeared and knocked everyone down and took the girl away. The clue was broken again, which made Miss Fortune and Wei Wan very headache, and at this time, Simon Jones's voice rang in the minds of the two girls. Use the bell to confirm it. It cannot be ruled out that it was a fake. The girl should not be kidnapped so easily. Understood. As he spoke, Miss Fortune took out a brass bell. This is a magic prop, which is applied with the magic from Minister, and can detect the magic of other children of the three palaces. After a few breaths, the bell began to ring, which meant that the bell had captured the magic of the son of the three palaces. The bell is responding, it's her, boss. Doom replied. That's good. Simon Jones seemed to be relieved. You continue to investigate in National City, but be quick, we don't have much time. We will speed up. Doom responded, and Simon Jones also wended the remote telepathy. Looking at Doom, Wei Guang said a little irritably, the clue is broken again. Now we only know that she was taken away by that guy. How can we continue to look for her? If we can't find her, we will die. I know you are worried about those three guys. Doom comforted Wei Guang, I can use my superpowers to improve my luck. I can find her trace by going around the city a few more times. Okay then, but Doom, can you hold on? Wei Guang looked at Doom and said worriedly. Doom said in a slightly fearful tone, if we can't hold on, we'll have to die. You're right. Wei Guang's back teeth gritted twice. Let's go, brother, let's go find someone. Then, the trio left the abandoned gas station and tracked the traces of Raven with the help of the magic bell. At the same time, Jello, who was standing in the sky, also took in every move of the trio through the tracker and the monitor. Is there a magic prop that can track Raven's magic? It seems that I need to walk around the city for a while, leaving some useless clues to mislead them and draw out more clues. After thinking about the plan, Jello landed in a small alley in National City, and when he walked out of the alley, he turned into Raven. Then, Jello wandered around National City, leaving many traces of magic to mislead the trio. Sometimes Jello was not suitable to wear the necklace, so he would tie the necklace to the dog and take it off from the dog after returning. While leaving false traces to mislead the three people, Jello was also wondering why the words he overheard included if we can't hold on, we'll have to die. Is someone threatening them? The biggest suspect is the Three Palace Demon, or the Three Palace Demon's offspring and followers. Moreover, these people have seen those scary guys, so they're so scared that they ran out to look for people without even recovering from their injuries. It seems that I need an armor that can better exert my strength than the Nia's armor. Jello thought silently in his heart. The Three Palace Demon is very strong, and his offspring must be not weak either. After leaving enough traces to disrupt the trio for a while, Jello asked Oyo to send him back to the Ultralight. Chapter UA-0 Evil Tiger. In the Ultralight on Earth Naught, National City, Zero changed back to his original appearance, changed into comfortable clothes, and asked Oya. Oya, how is the 1.0 version of the energy core? After receiving Zero's order, Oya projected the holographic image of the energy core, 1.0 inches front of Zero. It's just a test version now. Do you need to put it into actual combat? Is the Neozum unable to catch up with your energy intensity again? After projecting the current data in front of Zero, Oya asked. A stronger enemy has appeared. I need an armor that can play a stronger role than the Neozum. Zero replied to Oya while checking the data of the Energy Core 1.0 test version. The Energy Core is the heart of the armor. Its main function is to provide Zero with additional energy and amplify the energy intensity, thereby achieving a squared enhancement, and to carry part of the overflow energy. For example, the first generation armor equipped with the 0.7 version of the Energy Core will overflow with silver white arcs because the Energy Core and armor structure cannot withstand Zero's current energy intensity. The Neo's armor with the 0.9 version of the Energy Core will only temporarily prevent this situation, but it will not allow Zero to exert his full strength. In order to deal with enemies whose strength is unknown and who may attack at any time, Zero must use the more advanced 1.0 version of the energy core, even if it is still a test version. The enemy will not give Zero too much time to prepare. But the most important Gundam system and form transformation framework in your design have not been completely completed. Oa said to Zero. Although the two most important technologies have not been completed, the enemy will not wait for Zero to slowly complete the armor. With a fixed look in his eyes, Zero said to Oya, "The enemy may not give me so much time. I also want to complete the new series of armor in the most perfect way, but at present I still need a set of armor that can withstand my power. Oya, check all the technologies that are still being tested. I want to design a set of advanced armor." Understood. As Oya began to check various data, a large number of holographic projections appeared in front of Zero. The core energy directly uses the Zephyrian particles used in the new series No. 1 armor in the conception, and most of the technologies are not much different from the new armor. However, the three technologies that most affect Zero's combat effectiveness, namely, energy crystal, mobile particle frame and composite armament, have all been replaced with the 1.3 test version. Especially the composite armament, after collecting data from the glorious trialist, Zero successfully upgraded it. The upgraded composite armament is called the Zepriosphere prototype by Zero. As for the shape, in order to save time, Zero directly adopted the appearance of the original new series No. 1 armor. Looking at the new armor that has been designed and is similar to the original new series No. 1, but cannot switch forms, Zero's mind popped up another figure. Why not just use the color, Zero thought with a bad taste. Although the giant in Zero's memory did not have the prefix or suffix of Ultraman, at this moment, the armor that Zero designed by accident is extremely similar to the giant. So, Zero used a different color scheme on this armor. The red color that was used a lot in the previous armor is rarely used on this armor. Only the ankle armor, wrist armor, and chest armor use a darker color scheme. The main body is composed of dark silver and black, which is absolutely not used in previous armors. The optical eyepieces are unique blue with black lines next to the eyepiece and black grooves on the helmet. The golden edge wraps around the dark red V-shaped chest armor, and the center of the chest is a water drop-shaped energy core. The overall shape does not have the righteous feeling of the previous armor, but instead has a hint of evil. And Jello also set a number and code for this set of armor. Number UA-00WT, code name Evil Tiger. Jello named this UA series Armor 0 according to his memory. Recording completed, and will be put into production soon. After recording the armor number and code, I put this set of armor into production with the highest priority. UA is the abbreviation of Ultra Armor in English, which means Ultra Armor. It is actually the same as US, which Jello originally used, but Jello wanted to distinguish the two series, so he changed the S in the number to A. What Jello has to do next is to wait. With the current situation of ultralight, this new armor can be completed in 2 weeks at most. After completing the design of the armor, Jello absorbed some energy to heal his injuries, and then asked Oya to teleport him back to the air raid shelter base. However, as soon as he returned to the air raid shelter base, Jello saw a scene that was not suitable for children. The beautiful woman Starfire was kissing Dick passionately. Jello's eyes widened at this scene, but Jello's sudden appearance could not hide it from Starfire and Dick. "You continue, I'm leaving first." Jello didn't know where to put his eyes. Just when Jello wanted to escape with a guilty conscience, Starfire stopped Jello in fluent English. "Please don't get me wrong, I'm Coriander from the planet Tamaran. Our tribe can learn each other's language through kissing. I did this because of the language barrier. Who saved me?" After saying that, Starfire combed her long red hair like a raging fire. At this time, Dick, who had just kissed Starfire, also slowed down. He glanced at Jello and said, "He brought you here." Dick's eyes were more or less resentful, but Jello didn't think so. "I brought you a wife, and you still talk to me like this. Is that reasonable?" Starfire thought that she had caused trouble for Jello and Dick, so she quickly said, "I know that my arrival has caused trouble for you too. If there is anything wrong, I, as the Princess of Tamaran, will take responsibility." Alien Princess. Dick noticed a very important word in Starfire's words. Things became interesting, Dick thought secretly. This is what happened. Starfire was about to tell her story when Donna came out of the training room with Raven. They looked at Starfire, then at Jello and Dick. "Who is this?" Donna asked in confusion. "Her name is Coriander, and she is a princess from an alien planet." Jello introduced concisely. Alien princess. Donna and Raven said in unison. Donna gave Jello a thumbs up. You actually picked up a princess. Yes, I'm the youngest daughter of the first family of Tamaran, but I shouldn't be now. Starfire nodded. Her eyes were a little evasive, and her tone was also low. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novel, as there you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Earth North National City in the Air Raid Shelter Base, Starfire is telling her story to 4 people. As a princess of Tamaran, Starfire's life can be said to be carefree, until a group of aliens invaded their planet. The aliens supported Starfire's sister, Commander, and launched a coup. In the process, Starfire's parents died tragically and Starfire was also liquidated. Starfire naturally could not escape the pursuit of the army. She was captured and locked up in the laboratory for torture and transformation, but in the end Starfire still escaped. She boarded an experimental spaceship and used the interstellar transmission system on the spaceship, which was still in the experimental stage, and finally came to Earth. It's just like a fairy tale. After listening to the story, Raven widened her eyes in surprise. Coup, princess, escape. Starfire's experience is not much different from what Jello remembers. Looking at Starfire, who was even a little taller than herself, Donna crossed her arms, looked into Starfire's pupil-less green eyes, and asked, "Then may I ask, princess, what are your plans now?" "I don't know yet. Too many things have happened." Things happened too fast and too much, causing Starfire to be quite confused and not knowing what she should do. Go back to Tamaran to overthrow the aliens and her sister. What a beautiful dream. Starfire herself didn't believe she could succeed. Looking at Starfire, who was in confusion, Jello was a little curious about which civilization the invaders were, so he asked, "I have something to ask you, which may be a bit presumptuous, princess. You can choose not to answer." "It's okay, ask." Starfire replied, "What race are the aliens who invaded your mother planet?" Jello said. Hearing this, Starfire frowned, thought for a while, and then said, "The Dicebora people. They were the ones who launched a coup on Tamaran and locked me up in the laboratory." The Dicebora people. It turned out to be them. Jello almost felt a little strange when he heard this word for the first time in a long time. Dick on the side also noticed that Jello's tone was a little wrong. "Wait, do you know this Dicebora people?" "Yes, I heard about this group of space locusts when I was in the universe before." Nodding, Jello told what he knew about the Dicebora people, except for the planet destroyer. He told Donna frowned, forcing other races to evolve. "What kind of strange race is this?" "Although they are strange, they are very powerful. I have 2 friends in the universe, and their home planet was destroyed because of the Dicebora people." Jello added, "Aren't you also a race from this planet?" Hearing that Jello seemed to know something about the universe, Starfire was also a little surprised. She looked at Jello and asked curiously, "Half. I came here when I was very young, and then I was adopted." Zero said indifferently. After all, Zero is essentially a half-human and half-Ultraman hybrid, with the advantages of both races. When Xingo heard that Zero was half a cosmic person, she felt a little familiar. "Have you ever thought about going back to your home planet? I mean the cosmic part of you?" Donna suddenly asked Zero. "Home planet? I basically regard the Earth as my home planet." Zero shrugged his shoulders, "But if there is a chance, I would definitely like to go. There is no Kingdom of Light in the DC universe." A long time ago, Zero asked Claire to look at the M78 Nebula with the super telescope of the Fortress of Solitude, but he did not find any trace of Ultraman. Other places such as L77, U40, and O50, where Zero remembered traces of Ultraman, were also shown to Claire, but there was no trace of Ultraman. Except for the time when he met the King of Ultra in the spiritual world, Zero did not find any other Ultraman. But for some reason, Zero felt that the Kingdom of Light was real. But this feeling was very weak, even now. Jello shook his head twice, and came back to his senses. "What about you, princess? What are you going to do now? Stay on Earth?" "Probably, but looking at your appearance, I don't think I can fit in." Xingo looked at the appearance of the 4 people and found that there was a big difference between her appearance and that of the Earthlings, and she was suddenly a little worried. "It's just skin color and pupils." Jello patted his chest. "It's just a nano camouflage layer and a pair of camouflage sunglasses. I can do it in 3 minutes." After saying that, Jello disappeared in front of everyone. 2 minutes and 10 seconds later, Jello appeared in front of the 4 people again, and 2 things appeared in his hand. This is a nano camouflage suit and camouflage sunglasses. It's very simple to use. Jello handed the 2 things to Xingo. The nano camouflage suit is a small black box. Xingo put the box on the back of her hand, and a layer of white covered her orange skin. Put on the sunglasses, and outsiders can't tell that Xingo is an alien. How is it? Isn't it great? Jello asked Starfire with a smile. Thank you very much. I will find a chance to return the favor. Starfire said gratefully. Stretching, Jello said to Starfire, let's say thank you later. I have to go do something first. If you have any questions, you can ask the male public relations. He knows a lot. Seeing that Jello was drawing the fire on him again, Dick said that what Jello said had no other meaning, otherwise he would have to go to the Bat Cave to steal the small box. After that, Jello disappeared in the air raid shelter base and appeared in an alien national city. Turning into Raven's appearance and changing clothes quickly, Jello walked the 3 guys in National City like walking a dog. With the addition of the tracker and the monitor, Jello could make them lose him every time even though they were about to catch up with him. He walked them for 5 days like this. On February 15, 2015, Jello, who was still walking on the street, received a call from Professor Radia. Teacher, is there something wrong? Jello, who was hiding in the alley, asked Professor Radia. Professor Avia on the other end of the phone was a little annoyed. It's hard to say over the phone. Come to my house and I'll tell you in detail. Okay, teacher, I'll be there soon. After responding to Professor Avia, Jello immediately changed his clothes and restored his appearance. As for the necklace containing Raven's magic, Jello tied it to a stray husky. This husky is Jello's old friend. It has helped him walk people several times in the past few days. Jello also fed it a lot of food to make it stronger to run around. After changing into a motorcycle suit and wearing a helmet, Jello rode a cheap motorcycle to Professor Avia's house. Bad news. Earth North Niceno City in front of Professor Avia's house, Jello rang the doorbell. This house is a very classic European and American house, a 3-story wooden house, plus a front and backyard, and creeps growing on the walls. Not long after ringing the doorbell, the door opened and Jello walked in. Jello walked very carefully, because there were a lot of scattered papers and books on the ground, as if there had been thieves. Teacher. Jello called tentatively, fearing that Professor Avia had been kidnapped. Come here, Jello. Professor Avia's voice sounded from deep in the house. Jello followed the sound and found Professor Avia sitting on the sofa scratching his head frantically. Looking at Professor Avia, who seemed to be very regretful, Jello asked, Did something happen, teacher? Professor Avia sighed, and then said to Jello, It's about the Amorzo robot. After my investigation, I found that some of the data still flowed out. Hearing this, Jello's heart suddenly skipped a beat. And it's a very core bionic part, related to the part of the amazing robot that replicates superpowers. I've checked it until now, but I still don't know who stole it, and I can't even find a fingerprint. Professor Avia scratched his head frantically, his tone full of worry. Hearing this, Jello remembered an event that would happen in the future, the amazing virus, which was caused by Lex Luthor secretly studying the amazing robot and finally creating a virus that caused the entire metropolis to fall into crisis. Although the timeline was changed by Jello, the amazing robot only had the prototype in the laboratory, and all forces were watching it. Unless the head was clamped by the iron door, a normal villain would not dare to steal the robot and offend the public. But even so, Lex Luthor is still very suspicious. Bordy is not a good person, and he has a relationship with the Illuminati. What if Lars August is worried that this will cause problems in the Illuminati and directly sends ninjas to kidnap or assassinate him? Professor Avia is old and weak, and Jello can't guarantee that he can absolutely protect Professor Avia's safety. Even if the possibility is 1 in 10 million, Jello will never allow Professor Avia to take this risk. After thinking for a while, Jello advised, Teacher, if even you can't find any clues, it's best not to continue investigating. You may be in danger. Jello, do you know something? Professor Avia noticed that Jello seemed to know something. Nodding, Jello continued, there may be a very large organization behind this matter. I'm worried that you will be in danger. Organization? What do they want to do with Amorzo? Professor Avia frowned. I don't know, but I can tell you responsibly, teacher, don't pursue it further. Jello advised. But what if they use Amorzo to do something that is not beneficial to mankind? Professor Avia was still very worried. Seeing this, Jello replied, Then I will stop them and bring the A-module technology back on track. Since you said so, I will not investigate further for the time being. Professor Avia shook his head helplessly, then looked at Jello and asked, "Have you been working at M78 Technology Co. Limited recently?" "I'm actually the boss of that company," Jello said with a guilty conscience. Although Jello is the boss in legal terms, Lina basically handles the company's affairs, and he is in the position of secretary most of the time. "Is that so?" Professor Avia nodded and asked, "Does your company still need people?" "Teacher, what do you mean?" Jello's eyes lit up. "It's just an idea. I still have some things to deal with. It will probably take more than half a year to finish them." Weilo replied, "As for now, I can't spare my hands." "Then I will prepare everything for you, teacher." Jello smiled slightly, "But now, I still have some things to deal with, so I'll leave first." "You go first, be careful." Then, Jello left Professor Weio's mansion, found a place where no one would come, and eavesdropped on the conversation of the three guys. "Under a bridge, how can this damn girl run so fast?" Miss Fortune gasped for breath, and both legs were shaking. Wei Wang and Mammoth were much better. They took 2 deep breaths, and Wei Wang's eyes were full of murderous intent. "It seems that we were discovered by her, and then she used the conditions of this city to trick us." "Then sister, what should we do?" Mammoth asked in a muffled voice. "What should we do?" "Of course we should keep chasing her," Shimmer said while biting her back teeth, "and I'm your sister." "I understand." Before Mammoth could finish his words, the trio suddenly fell to the ground, as if a sense of terror had entered their minds, and they all covered their heads and screamed. "We will find her. Please let us go." Yes, we will risk everything to find her." Woo, it hurts. The trio sounded like they were dying. Jello listened to their screams for almost half an hour before he heard normal voices. "Please give us another 3 days." "What, 2 days?" "That's fine, we will find her within 2 days." Doom's tone was very humble. After being so humble, Doom, Shimmer, and Mammoth did not have to endure the pain, and the person who tortured them before also sent them a compass, and the crisp ding-dong sound was also recorded by the monitor. Jello, who was monitoring the 3 people, heard this scene and guessed. It was the person behind them who was urging them. Jello guessed that it should be a child of the 3 palaces with psychic abilities. However, Jello also noticed that this group of people only had 2 days left. If they didn't complete the mission, they might be killed. There's no more information to be found from them. Touching his chin, Jello felt that he couldn't find any more information from these 3 unlucky guys. After thinking carefully, Jello also planned to close the net. So, Jello returned to the air raid shelter base and told the others everything he knew. That's how things are now. Those 3 guys are just small fish. There are bigger things behind them, and the 3 of them are now forced to withdraw. Listening to Jello's narration, Dick thought for a while and said, "It's a pity that we didn't find out the existence behind them. It's a bit of a loss." "Wait, I'm curious about the last part of the sound." "What's the landing sound?" Donna raised a point that neither Dick nor Jello cared about. Hearing this, Jello and Dick listened to the sound again. Chapter Heroes need a place to fight. Earth Nord National City in the air raid shelter. Jello and Dick listened to the recorded audio again. A very crisp sound, like a metal object. The sound was not loud, which meant that the object was not too big. Small object, metal material. Jello thought for a while and guessed, could it be some kind of tracker? It's possible, but I think it could also be a restraint device. After all, you haven't worked them for a few days. Maybe you want to restrain Riven. Dick proposed another possibility. "What you said makes sense, but that magic item may not work on me," Jello replied. Compared with the poor magic resistance of Kryptonians, Jello, who has the Ultra Factor, is far superior in magic resistance. Unless a very accomplished master wizard uses special magic, Jello can resist most magic. Dick nodded and said, "But I think it is still necessary to make a plan." Then, several people made a simple plan. Since it was not clear whether the magic item would be more powerful than the previous bell, Raven offered to lead the group of people to an abandoned factory in National City, where Jello would wait. Dick could not participate in this matter, so he could only snipe from a distance, while Donna and Starfire would protect Raven after Jello appeared to ensure that no sudden enemy would attack Raven. The evil ticket armor should only take 30 hours to complete, right? Jello thought about the completion time of the new armor. Projecting the plan with the holographic device, Dick looked at Raven and Starfire. "Raven, you must ensure your own safety. Princess Coriander, in fact, you don't have to participate in our plan." It's just a small matter, I'm happy to help. Starfire smiled lightly and said, and I think as a refugee seeking asylum, it is also necessary to do something for the benefactor. And I'm not a princess now, you can just call me Coriander. Okay, Coriander. Dick tried to change his words. Looking at the people who got together because of her, Raven said something emotionally. I feel like this is a team, just like the Justice League. This sentence was naturally heard by Zero and the other four, and Starfire was a little strange. Justice League? What is that? The Justice League is a superhero team that got together to protect the Earth. In a sense, our temporary team is also quite similar. Donna briefly introduced the Justice League and talked about their current situation. Donna, Starfire, Raven, Nightwing. Thinking of this, the name of an organization suddenly popped up in Zero's mind. Maybe after this incident, they can really become a team. But the most urgent thing is to help Raven temporarily get rid of the claws of the Three Palaces demon. February 17, 2015 Earth Nord National City. According to the plan, Raven personally appeared in National City. With the help of Dick, who memorized the entire map of National City, Raven was leading the trio all the way to the ambush site. After running for a while, Raven finally led the trio to an abandoned factory. The factory had been abandoned for many years. The ground was covered with dust, and the steel beams on the ceiling were covered with rust, looking like they would collapse at any time. Doom pointed a gun at Raven and threatened, "You can't escape. Come back with us, and you can suffer less. Stop and don't run." Mammoth roared, and there was a wave in the air. But Shimmer didn't know what was going on and felt uneasy. Raven didn't reply to them, but took out a smoke bomb from her pocket and raised it high. "Oh no, she's going to run!" Shimmer shouted. Doom saw this and immediately used his superpowers. "She won't have this chance." Before the voice fell, a circle of purple light wrapped around the smoke bomb. Raven threw the smoke bomb on the ground. It exploded, but no smoke was released. Sure enough, just as Brother Jello said, the smoke bomb is ineffective, Raven thought to herself. The trio also relaxed their vigilance at this time, and Shimmer took out the compass and pointed it at Raven. Swish. When Shimmer was about to use the compass, a short sword with a golden lasso of the end pierced through the compass and Shimmer's palm. "What?" Miss Fortune exclaimed. After doing this, Donna, who was controlling the matter behind the scenes, shook the golden lasso and took the short sword back into her hand. Before the trio knew what was happening, Zero and Starfire simultaneously sent out two shockwaves, one golden and one green, towards Miss Fortune and Shimmer. Fortunately, Mammoth blocked them, otherwise these two shockwaves would be enough to seriously injure them. Bang bang, two black marks appeared on Mammoth's body. It seemed that his superpowers had become stronger at some point, but his intelligence, "We were ambushed," Miss Fortune and Shimmer said at the same time. When they came to their senses, Raven had disappeared in front of the three of them, and a familiar silver-eyed figure stood in front of them. It was Zero wearing the Nia's armor. Gong Wei Guang swallowed unconsciously and took 4 or 5 steps back unconsciously. She looked at Miss Fortune again and found that the other party had retreated more than she did. "I'm going to kill you this time." But the mammoth's brain was somewhat problematic, so he would not be afraid of Jello, and even wanted to fight with Jello. Then, the mammoth moved his legs and rushed towards Jello. The terrifying size even made the ground tremble, and when he rushed in front of Jello, Jello just said coldly, "The floor is too big, idiot." Then he dodged the mammoth with a very small gap, casually raised his hand and pressed the mammoth's belly, and the mammoth flew backwards. With the experience of the last fight, Jello knew that they seemed to have a way to increase their strength in a short period of time. He and Dick wanted to know what it was. Boom boom, the mammoth flew backwards all the way and finally landed on the wall. The terrible impact made the entire abandoned factory shake. Looking at the abandoned factory that seemed to be almost collapsed, Jello raised his right hand and said loudly, "Heroes must have a place to fight. Activate the field magic card meta field." As Jello's words that made Weird and Doom confused fell, the phase shift wave in the form of a large number of golden particles enveloped the entire abandoned factory. Chapter Field Magic Card Meta Field. Earth Nord National City. As the phase shift wave enveloped the entire abandoned factory, Jello transferred the trio to the Meta Realm. The Meta Realm was still a wasteland, but the area was much larger. The sky was always covered with a layer of aurora, and the ground was made of a substance like soil. "What is this place? Why do I feel so tired?" Wei Guan frowned and said. As soon as she entered the Meta Realm, she felt that she was even having difficulty breathing. Not only Wei Guang, but also Miss Fortune was the same. She gasped for air and even had a problem activating her abilities. This is one of the effects of the meta realm, suppressing the enemy. That is to say, Wei Guang and Miss Fortune are not superpowers who are good at energy, otherwise their energy would be taken away by this space. Mammoth was the only one who could fight among the three. He looked at Wei Guang, who was trembling, and asked, "Sister, what's wrong with you?" However, Wei Guang no longer had the strength to speak. She fainted with a bang and fell face down. Miss Fortune was about to faint, but she was better than Wei Guang. She knew that Mammoth was the only hope at this time. If she wanted to survive, she had to use Mammoth. "Mammoth, do you want to save your sister? Then use that. Only in this way can you let her survive." In fact, as humans, Jello would not kill the trio completely, but Miss Fortune did not know. However, even if Miss Fortune knew about this, she would not tell Mammoth. She would only use everything she could to keep herself alive. "I want to save my sister." Hearing this, Mammoth roared and then opened his arms. This sentence seemed to trigger a keyword. A machine placed in the body of Mammoth injected a red serum into the blood vessels of Mammoth, and it flowed throughout the body of Mammoth in 1 second in a very unscientific way. The power of this red serum was very overbearing. Mammoth's body suddenly became larger, his skin became red, his eyes became orange-yellow, and he grew a second pair of eyes. There was also a pair of black horns on his head, which looked very scary. A white mist gushed out of the whole body of the mammoth, and his eyes became more and more fierce. Before he fought with Jello, he pointed his fist at Miss Fortune. Bang! With a casual slap, the mammoth slapped Miss Fortune away. Miss Fortune finally stopped after hitting a red soil mountain. His eyes rolled up and he fainted. "It's really a power that I hate." Jello could feel the evil power in the mammoth's body, which made him very uncomfortable. It was like a natural opposite. Jello had never hated a person so much. But even if he was standing very far away, Jello could sense how strong the mammoth's power was. It was a powerful force that could rival Jello now. Roar. The mammoth made a strange cry in his throat, and 4 eyes stared at Jello at the same time. He saw that his legs were slightly bent, and then he jumped up and jumped towards Jello. Seeing this, Jello's eyes condensed, and all his strength was gathered in his fists, just in time. Bang! The 4 fists collided, sending out shockwaves that could overturn a car. Under such force, the mammoth's arms made a loud noise, and Jello could see through his perspective eyes that the mammoth's arm bones were actually shattered. It seems that even if it was strengthened, the mammoth could not withstand Jello's full strength. However, the mammoth's arms began to shake at high speed under Jello's eyes, and it took less than a second for the mammoth to recover completely. Super speed self-healing. I don't know what the upper limit is. Recording another feature in mind, Jello used the mammoth to explore some of the strength of Samgong's minions. In order to test the upper limit of the opponent's self-healing ability, Jello even blasted an Ultra Blast fist, and endless power immediately flowed into the mammoth's body through Jello's fists, and exploded in the opponent, causing chain damage. Bang 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 bang! Dozens of blood flowers suddenly burst out of the mammoth's skin, and then flew backwards. After the mammoth fell to the ground with a bang, Jello observed how long it took the mammoth to heal itself this time. About 10 seconds later, the mammoth stood up again. 10 seconds? The more serious the injury, the longer it will take. This logic will not change. And he looks much more tired. Jello guessed bit by bit. Roar. The mammoth roared again and rushed towards Jello, but this time, he was a little smarter. He first clapped his hands with all his strength to create a hurricane, trying to control Jello. But for Jello, this hurricane was just enough to make him squint his eyes. In addition, he had the ability to fly with anti-gravity, so this hurricane had no way to move him. It helps to increase combat instincts. Noting another feature, Jello activated the vector jet on the back of the armor. In an instant, Jello turned into a silver meteor and kicked towards the mammoth in a flying kick. With Jello's speed, the mammoth certainly couldn't react. In a flash, the mammoth was kicked and a mouthful of purple-red blood was spit out by the mammoth, falling on the chest armor of Newt. Sizzle, sizzle. A burst of white smoke suddenly came out of the armor, just like ordinary metal encountering strong acid, destroying part of the connection with the energy door. After kicking the mammoth away, Jello adjusted his body and landed on the ground. He took a look at his armor and whispered, "Does blood have corrosive properties? It can even corrode my armor. I have to change to a nano coating to see if it will work. It's a pity that I don't have any connections on the magic side, otherwise I would have applied some magic protection. However, the energy connection has been partially destroyed, and the Neo's armor can't exert my full strength." Thinking of this, Jello put away the Mjolnir's armor, and another set of armor appeared on the holographic projection of the little broken watch. However, the mammoth was like a mad dog, running towards Jello again. Even if Jello's body emitted a strong light that made him very disgusted, he still rushed towards Jello at the cost of blindness. Kill, 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 kill. Repeating the word kill in his mouth, the mammoth raised his right fist high, using the killing intent to push the force that could smash through the building. The fist fell, but there was no sound. A voice appeared in the endless white light. Don't keep screaming when fighting. It's annoying. As the voice fell, 3 blue spots appeared in the endless white light. Then, Jello used one hand to throw the mammoth out. At this moment, the white light gradually dissipated. Jello looked at the mammoth that had just fallen to the ground and began to roll. He opened his hands with 5 fingers, one hand forward and the other hand backward, with wild movements and arrogant expressions. Backlinks and metafield metadomain. After putting on the new UA-OOET evil to go armor, Zero felt the energy core that allowed him to exert his full strength even though it was still a test version. Taking a deep breath, Zero finally felt the amplification brought by the armor for the first time in a long time. Just like ordinary people will feel confident after putting on a nice new piece of clothing, Zero also felt that he wanted to show his strength at this time. The power of the 3 palaces on the mammoth has been almost explored, which is basically power amplification, super self-healing, corrosive blood, and other enhancements may vary from person to person. However, there is nothing left on the mammoth that can be used. No ability. Zero raised his chin disdainfully, and the prototype superior spear on his right arm, which looked like a shield, sprayed a stream of purple-black light, forming a weapon like a spear. This purple-black light stream is actually composed of superior material, but Zero and Oil did not adjust it well, causing the color to become purple-black, which is essentially not much different from superior material. In addition, Zero thought that the color was not a big problem, and in order to quickly make this set of armor, he omitted the insignificant color issue. With a light step on the ground, Zero came to the front of the mammoth at a speed close to teleportation. The tip of the Zeprio spear pierced into the mammoth's skin, and then quickly pulled out, and then repeated this action. Countless phantoms seemed to appear in front of the mammoth. After hundreds of stabs, Zero paused for a moment, and then kicked the mammoth in the lower abdomen. Puff. The mammoth retreated while spitting blood. However, this time Zero did not let the mammoth's blood fall on the armor, because he used a layer of telekinesis to wrap the highly corrosive blood. As telekinesis is the basis of most of Ultraman's superpowers, Zero expected to block all the blood, without causing any of the things it should have done. The test is complete. After completing his own small test, Zero tilted his head slightly, and the purple-black light stream condensed by the prototype Suprio spear dissipated in the meta field. The external weapons used in the UA series armor are different from those in the US series. The external weapons of the US series can only cause damage through fixed modes and fixed energy. But the weapons of the UA series are different. For example, the prototype Suprio spear of the evil ticket armor extracts the energy of the armor or Zero itself and forms various forms according to Zero's choice. Not only spears, but even axes and whips can be condensed by Zero. Then, Zero flashed in front of Mammoth again before he came to his senses, and his left hand turned into a hand knife, and cut off all the sharp horns in a swish. The horns were cut off, and Mammoth felt a burst of pain. He wailed and waved his 2 big hands like a headless fly. Crouching to avoid the waving hands of the mammoth, Jello kicked the mammoth with a sweeping kick. Then, Jello stood up and quickly retreated, pulling away from the mammoth, and began to gather energy. Jello clenched his hands between his ribs, spread them flat and slowly moved them together, overlapping his wrists, and after accumulating enough energy, he formed an L shape and emitted a purple-black Zephyrian ray of light towards the mammoth. The mammoth, who had just stood up, did not have enough time and strength to dodge the ray, and could only choose to withstand the ray. Boom. 3 seconds later, an explosion appeared in the metadomain. When the smoke dissipated, Jello appeared in front of him. A man with a skinny figure, grey hair, aging skin and age spot appeared. Magic is illogical. Even Batman cannot fully understand the principles of magic, but most people who know magic know one thing, that is, no matter what kind of magic, there is a price. This price can be the magic power of the caster himself, or a certain organ, or the power borrowed from the contract with the demon. But no matter what, the caster needs to pay a price. There is no magic without a price. Just like the mammoth now, he exchanged his life for power, and now, the power he exchanged has protected him until the last moment, and of course he will take away what he should have taken away. After checking the mammoth's condition with his perspective eyes, Jello judged, the physical condition is too bad, and the functions in all aspects are about the same as those of a 90-year-old man. Even if no one touches him, this guy will die within a year. Thinking of this, Jello cancelled the meta field and reappeared in the abandoned factory with the trio. As for the other people in the team, they have been waiting here for a long time. Except for Dick, Raven, Starfire, and Donna are still there. Looking at Jello wearing the evil Tiger armor, Donna's eyes suddenly brightened, and she walked up to talk to Jello. Finally, you're willing to change the color? Blab. I've never seen you use it before. Sometimes it's not a bad thing to change your taste. Jello put away his helmet, looked at Donna with his emerald eyes, and then turned around twice in front of Donna, and then continued. How is it? Does it look good? It's quite novel. I'm tired of seeing your silver armor. Donna smiled and joked with Jello. Jello also smiled, then I'll change a few more sets of armor in the future. How is it? How is the intelligence collection going? At this time, Dick's voice came from the headset with some discomfort. Everyone in the team wore headphones before the action to ensure real-time communication. Except for Jello, who just entered the meta field and was offline, everyone else has been on the communication channel. Yes, a lot. Listen to me carefully. For some reason, Jello felt a little unhappy, but he still told everything he knew. Super self-healing, increased offensiveness, increased strength, appearance changes, corrosive blood, everything Jello knew was said again. Give me a day, I'll go get some more stuff to fight demons. From what you said, I feel like the stock is not enough. After listening to what Jello said, Dick thought for a while, and then decided to get more anti-demon equipment, so that he would have the confidence to deal with demons. After all, Dick is the only one in the team without superpowers, and his tolerance rate is the lowest. What about the three of them? How do you plan to deal with them? Starfire asked. I know someone, he should be in National City, see if he can help. Jello remembered the Martian hunter who worked in the super investigation department, so he deliberately sent out a mental wave to attract the Martian hunter. After sending out a mental wave with an invitation, Jello said to the three people, let's go back to the base first. I think the group of guys will start to get serious next. Martian Manhunter's intelligence. Earth North National City. Late at night, on a mountain outside the city, Jello, wearing a black and blue combat uniform, was standing on the edge of a cliff admiring the night view of National City. It was not until a dark shadow slowly approached Jello that he slowly stopped admiring the view. I brought what you wanted, Jello. The man said to Jello. Hearing this, Jello turned around and saw the figure still wearing a black combat uniform. Jello said happily, thank you, Uncle Mars. Uncle Mars. You really like to give people nicknames, like he said. The Martian hunter, who changed his name to Hank Henshaw and became the director of the DEO, took out a piece of information and slowly sent it to Jello with his telepathic ability. The information of the three guys you want is here, but you may not get what you want. Well, let me see it first. Then, Jello opened the file and checked the three files one by one. Van, Zernder, Jinsai, are these their real names? This file is too thin. Wait, have they never committed any crime? They are still employees of the same company on the surface. The final result was slightly beyond Jello's expectations, but not completely. If they really had never committed any crime, he could even use this group of people. That's right, even the DEO and the Eye of Heaven only know that they have superpowers. In theory, they really have no chance to commit a crime. Martian Manhunter added, and then continued to ask. But I'm curious why you want me to find the information of these three people. I don't understand what you said before. What Jello said in telepathy before was not very clear, but since Jello is Superman's younger brother, Martian Manhunter is still happy to help Jello. This is what happened. Then, Jello told Martian Manhunter part of what he knew. After a moment of silence, Martian Manhunter turned back to his original appearance, with green skin and scarlet eyes, looking more villainous than most villains. He questioned Zero. Do you trust that girl so much? What if she was on her father's side from the beginning? And that alien princess? Oh, I'm curious if your brother knows these things. Martian Manhunter and Superman actually have a very good relationship. They have similar experiences. Their home planet was destroyed and they regarded the Earth as their second home. As for how good is it? After knowing each other's weaknesses, Martian Manhunter told everyone that Superman was afraid of kryptonite, and Superman also told everyone that Martian Manhunter was afraid of fire. In response, Batman, Zero and a large number of villains said, you two should say more. I didn't tell him in person. Zero replied weakly. That means he doesn't know. Jello. Martian Manhunter looked at Jello and said very seriously, your actions can affect the safety of a city, or even the entire Earth. You are too young and too reckless. I believe that Raven can defeat the shadow of the Three Palace Demon and grow up. Jello said very firmly. You are willing to believe, which is a good thing. Martian Manhunter reminded earnestly, but if you believe, you have to bear the price. Jello Kent, are you ready? Tell me, are you ready to be betrayed by that girl, and then save her and bear everything? Martian Manhunter's voice became louder and louder, and his pair of scarlet eyes also glowed, full of oppression. As one of the strongest telepaths on Earth and even in the solar system, Martian Manhunter launched a mental torture, and even Jello felt a huge pressure. What a strong mental power, probably 10 times stronger than mine. It shouldn't be 100 times. In front of the terrible mental power of Martian Manhunter, Jello couldn't help but sigh that in this regard he was just a child learning to walk and talk. Even though his body was not oppressed at all, Jello felt as if a kingdom was pressing down on him. He looked at the Martian Manhunter who was still using his power and asked, why do you think I'm not ready? If the time comes, I will give everything, my life, my soul, everything I have. Good answer. The Martian Manhunter took back his power and continued, I am very optimistic about you and your team, but you'd better inform your brother and make preparations for both situations. I will, Uncle Mars. Jello nodded. Then I'll leave first. I'll be on duty tonight. Seeing Jello's willingness to take responsibility, the Martian Manhunter was also very relieved. Before leaving, he said, I'll have a chance to let you meet my niece. She just came to Earth recently and is still learning about human culture. She should be happy to meet you. Wait until I have finished this matter, Uncle Mars. After saying hello to the Martian Manhunter, Jello asked Oyo to teleport him away. Looking at Jello who disappeared under a blue light, the Martian Manhunter touched his chin. A Superman and his team researching a teleportation technology recently. Air Raid Shelter Base. The trio was temporarily trapped here. Dick, Donna, Starfire, and Raven took turns to watch over them. They showed no sign of waking up until Zero came back. The Meta Realm was not a pleasant place to be in. In addition, the physical conditions of Shimmer and K'tum were not very good, and Mammoth was now almost like a 90-year-old man. Aren't they awake yet? Zero asked Dick. They won't wake up in 4 hours. Dick glanced at Zero and then asked, how is it? Did you get what you need? Although I don't want to admit it, they are just superpowers sent here. It's hard to have anything to do with criminals. Zero handed Dick the information that Martian Manhunter gave him. After taking the information, Dick checked it out. Well, it's similar to what I found out. These 3 guys have little to do with crime. How about letting them go? Let them go. That's impossible. Zero's words made the others confused. Donna looked at Jello and asked curiously, if they are not criminals, then how are you going to keep them? Let them be community volunteers. Shaking his head to deny Donna's meaning, Jello snapped his fingers. First of all, I really want to know if they know something. Secondly, to keep them, it's not just violence. Some things are more useful than superpowers. While Jello was speaking, Wei Guang, who was the first to faint in the meta field, also regained consciousness. As soon as she woke up, she found that her hands and feet were tied, and then she found Jello still wearing the evil Tigra armor. Xindia Bang with red dates, Earth Nord National City in the Air Raid Shelter Base, everyone found the awakened Wei Guang. Let me go. Wei Guang shouted helplessly. It seems that our first guest has woken up. Looking at the awakened Wei Guang, Jello waved and signaled others to leave. He would handle the next matter alone. Then, Jello walked up to Wei Guang and greeted her. It seems that you didn't rest well, Ms. Zrinda. You know my name? Have you investigated me? Wei Guang's Zrinda looked at Jello in shock and fear, her eyes full of vigilance. Jello said slowly in a voice that Zrinda had to listen to with all her strength. That's right, but I'm different from those demons. I'll give you a chance. Chance? Zrinda ignored him and sneered, do you think I will believe it? Beat us up first and then give us an apple. Humph. As expected, Jello was not surprised by Zrinda's performance. This is not a question of belief or not, but a question of whether you choose or not. If you want to leave now, I won't stop you. Of course, if those demons find you, I won't protect you either. Don't mention those demons. You bastard. Jello's words seemed to trigger a keyword, making Zrinda very nervous, scared, and anxious. Looking at Zrinda, who showed a frightened expression when she mentioned demons, Dick whispered. It seems that they're scared enough by those demons. This is an opportunity, Jello. The voice was very low, so low that only Jello could hear it. Looking at Zrunda again, Jello used telekinesis to comfort her a little, and then said, "So I give you a choice, either be hunted by the demons, or choose to be a tainted witness and tell me everything you know." "No, they are terrible, you can't protect me from the demons," Zrunda said fearfully. "What if it's for your brother? His condition is very bad now. Without adequate medical technology, he won't live for more than a year." Seeing that Zrunda was unwilling to cooperate, Jello threw out the mammoth Bun, who now only had 1 year left to live. Zrunda and Bun are siblings, and the two should be able to restrain each other. Upon hearing about Bun's situation, Zrunda's eyes suddenly became evasive, and her words became less repulsive. "You didn't lie." "I don't need to lie. You are the only one who needs to make a choice here, and I can even help him regain his life. Choose, Zrunda, I'm very patient." Jello raised his right hand, spread his palm, and a group of moon-white particles appeared in his hand. This is one of his special abilities, Healing Ray. Using the power of healing light to help a human on Earth regain decades of life is simply the easiest thing, even Jello can do it. After hearing this, Zrunda fell into deep thought. Before she came up with an answer, Jello wanted to get the answer from another person. "What about you? Ms. Jinsai, I know you were awake." Jello looked at Jinsai, the doomed. In fact, Jinsai woke up after Jello started questioning Zrunda, but she had been pretending to be unconscious, but her skills were too poor and she didn't fool anyone. But everything was exposed. Jinsai stopped acting, she opened her eyes directly and spoke to Jello very confidently. "My superpower is the best among us. I can manipulate the probability of luck. With me here, everything you do will go smoothly. But it's not absolutely smooth." Jello replied, "Just like when you face me, the probability of failure is 100%. You can change the probability, but you can't change the facts." "You're right, but it's still tempting, isn't it?" Unlike Zrunda, Ms. Jinsai is more sensible. She knows more about how much benefit her advantages can bring her. "Yes, you impress me." Jello crossed his arms in front of his chest and used telekinesis to untie Jinsai. "You have brought opportunities for yourself, Ms. Jinsai." Feeling that her hands and feet were free again, Jinsai stood up directly. She patted her clothes and even had time to mock Zrunda. "Poor little light, you can't even make a choice because of fear, but I have gained freedom and safety because of my choice." Seeing how annoying the golden thread was, Zrunda gritted her teeth in anger, and then said without hesitation, "I promise you to, but you have to promise me to heal my brother. It's a piece of cake." Seeing that Zrunda also agreed, Jello stretched out his right hand and directed the healing light towards the unconscious mammoth Bun. The light particles fell on Bun, repairing his body bit by bit. After 3 minutes, Bun's hair returned to its original color, and he became younger, but his body was not as big. I restored his lifespan, but his superpowers are gone, but his intelligence has returned to normal levels, and even so, his physique is still much better than that of ordinary humans. He should be able to play in the NBA or NFL, and his future should be good. After curing Bun, Jello untied the brother and sister. "Now, you can tell me everything you know." Half an hour later, Jello asked a lot of things from the trio. After getting all the information, Jello also sent them out of the air raid shelter base and put them in another safe house found by Dick. When Jello returned to the air raid shelter base, Dick also summarized the information said by the trio into a holographic projection, connecting various clues together to make people's brain circuits clear. Simon Jones and Microonagenius, it seems that these two guys are the masterminds. One is responsible for communicating with the 3 Palace Demon, and the other is responsible for research. Jello glanced at the projection, various clues flowed before his eyes, and he quickly came up with the answer. But I think that no matter which one of them, the information they said is inaccurate, and if Simon Jones really has telepathic ability, they should be disturbed and the information will be wrong. Dick said another possibility. Donna also added, and even if our will is strong enough to resist mind control, we will lose the ability to resist during that period, but only Raven and Jello can do it among us. I can make a prop to resist telepathy. Jello said confidently, as long as the prop is not destroyed, you will not exist in the eyes of the telepath. Of course, if the enemy is too powerful, this prop will be useless. That's enough. Hearing this, Dick nodded, and then enlarged the 3 most important portraits. The most important thing is these 3 demons, guys. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novel, as there you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter Devil Earth North. While the five-man team was discussing the plan, the three demons who came from hell to the human world were enjoying themselves. In the mountain mansion that Simon Jones had rented, Bisham, the most powerful of the three sons of the palace, was soaking in the swimming pool in the backyard. However, unlike a normal swimming pool filled with water, the liquid Bisham was soaking in was very viscous, had a fishy smell, and was dark red in color. There was no one else in this mansion, and even within a radius of 2 kilometers, no one would come and go, otherwise the bloody smell would have attracted the police. But there were bones of various creatures by the swimming pool. It seemed that even if the police didn't come, Bisham had found a lot of fun for himself. Anisida, how was your fun? Soaking in the blood water comfortably, Bisham looked at Anisida, who was wearing a cool black swimsuit by the swimming pool. And Anisida was holding a human male head with maggots in it. After hearing Bisham's words, she threw the head aside and added bricks and tiles to the hill of other heads and limbs. With a splash she jumped into the pool. Anisida swam away from the bloody water and slowly swam to Bisham's side. She lay on Bisham's chest and said coquettishly, "How can a mere human let me have fun? Only you, brother Bisham, can make me feel happy." Anisida's breath was as fragrant as orchids, and every word was like the best embodiment of the saying that sex is a knife that scrapes bones. Grabbing Anisida's wrist, Bisham showed a very evil smile on his face. "My sister, you are playing with fire. The power of demons is not generated out of thin air. Their power comes from the 7 original sins. Pride, jealousy, rage, laziness, greed, gluttony, lust. The power of demons comes from these 7 original sins. As long as the demon absorbs enough original sins, or he has enough original sins himself, he can become stronger. For example, the 3-palace demon, according to legend, was born from the evil thoughts of an entire dimension, which made him stand out among countless demons. Life with demon blood is no exception. Riven's original sin in a certain world line is pride. It seems that his original sin is probably lust, while Beheim's original sin looks like arrogance. As for Saraka, this guy is so self-disciplined that he doesn't even look like a demon, and no one knows what his original sin is. You are the best at playing with fire, my brother." Easter smiled and put her head on Beheim's chest. When the 2 sons of the 3 palaces were about to do something illegal, Saraka, who was very thin, walked to their side of the swimming pool. Noticing Saraka's arrival, Beheim, who was disturbed by his interest, was very unhappy. He casually threw the blood pool shock flames out of his hand and went to Saraka to ask for punishment. "Don't you knock on the door before come in, Saraka?" Although the demon flames were like a venomous snake wrapped around him, Saraka didn't have even the slightest fear in his heart. Glancing at Beheim with a boring look, Saraka said calmly, "It seems that your control over fire has reached a new level, but I'm here to report bad news." "Bad news?" Hearing this, Beheim's face turned ugly. "Yes, Bisham, the 3 humans we sent out failed, and they betrayed us." Saraka said the information he learned by setting up surveillance magic on the trio. Betrayal. This is really a word that makes me very uncomfortable. Bisham still acted very indifferent. But Saraka didn't think so. He frowned and said, "The opponent is very strong, Bisham. The guy among them wearing high-tech armor is as strong as you, maybe even stronger than you. So what? I still have enough power to bring my sister back." "Wait, Saraka, you can't be sure of your sister's location yet, right?" Bisham touched Ainster while belittling Saraka's concerns. "And you actually said that there is a guy who is as strong as me, or even stronger. What, are you kidding? Or are you questioning me, questioning the power of me, a killer?" After speaking, Bisham disappeared in the swimming pool. When he appeared again, he was standing behind Saraka. He put his hands on Saraka's shoulders and said very unhappily, "You'd better take those words back, Saraka. Then let's look at the facts." Seeing that Bisham was still so arrogant, Saraka stomped her feet in anger, then took out a gold pocket watch, threw open the watch cover with force, and a series of images appeared in the air and presented in front of Bisham. The screen showed Jello beating up the trio. Even though the mammoth was strengthened by the serum mixed with demon blood, Jello still had to pin it to the floor and beat it up. It seemed that Jello and Dick were not the only ones who would place surveillance cameras on the trio. The cautious demon Saraka also set up a recording magic on the trio. Seeing Jello's performance, Bisham became more serious. "Interesting, I didn't expect that there would be someone in this world who could rival me. I really want to tear him into pieces right now." Only in this way can I be qualified to prove how powerful I, Bishim, am. He is very strong, Bishim. Just these alone are as powerful as you. Saraka shouted. Hearing this, Bishim rolled his eyes at Saraka and said disdainfully, "Do you think that what you know is all my strength? You conceited fool." Then, the whites of Bishim's eyes disappeared, and red filled his eyes. In an instant, the sky above the entire mountain was covered with dark clouds. But although it looked like it was going to rain, the entire mountain had a strange high temperature, and the blood pool closest to him was quickly evaporated. Seeing Bishim like this, Saraka felt her breathing slow down, and even had the thought of kneeling down involuntarily. This is the worship of the strong engraved in the demon blood, and no demon can avoid it. Saraka's forehead was dripping with sweat, and her black suit was completely wet with sweat. When Saraka was in a mess, Bishim let go of her hand, but Saraka fell to the ground. Tsk. Bishim was shocked with disdain. He shook his head and sneered, "Is this the power that wisdom brings you? Brother, it's really pathetic. I only used less than 1/10 of my strength, and you fell down. And the guy you said is as strong as me. I'm afraid you were talking about me who only used half of my strength." After taunting Saraka, Bishim hooked his hand at Anesta, motioning her to follow, and issued an ultimatum to Saraka. "If you still want to complete your father's mission, you'd better keep up, you useless idiot who can't see the truth." Chapter joining Earth North National City February 23, 2015. After solving the problem of the trio, Jello's life seemed to have returned to normal, if he ignored the three demons lurking in the dark. In the office building of M78 Technology Co. Limited, Jello handed 2 documents to Jinsai and Zurinder, and told them, "Work hard here in the future, and you, Ms. Zurinder, must study hard in the future. I will give you a raise when the time comes." As for Zurinder and Jinsai, Jello temporarily arranged them in the company. Zurinder first studied in the development department, and Jinsai went to work as an HR to see if her superpowers would bring talents to the company. This kind of all-purpose superpower is suitable for any place. It's just that the modification of luck probability is not invincible. The more complex the object of modification, the corresponding price the user will have to bear. And Jinsai is just a human being, which means she can't bear too serious consequences. She will first be an HR to screen talents and slowly maximize the value of Jinsai. As for Ben, Jello sent him to a rugby team. The coach said that Ben's performance was very good and he could be a main player next season. At this point, the fate of the 3 people who were originally going to form the 5 Terrors with Simon Jones, the Brain Devil, and Microonagenius, the Gizmo, to fight against the heroic Team Titans, was changed by Jello. "I will, boss." Although she was still a little panicked, Zurinder felt that it was still good now. The treatment given by Jello was much better than that of Simon Jones. Simon Jones made them develop superpowers all day long and did not allow them to contact the outside world. They were almost crazy all day long. The only time they got freedom was to come out and catch Riven. Before leaving, they also saw an unforgettable scene. Compared with the environment that wanted to brainwash people, the treatment here by Jello was simply heaven. Taking over the information, Jinsai said, "Very well, I can work now, boss." "It's a good thing to be able to work, but I'm not your nominal boss." Jello smiled slightly, then stepped back to the left, so that Lina, who was still sitting in a wheelchair, came into the sight of the 2 women. "Welcome to M78 Technology Co. Limited." Lina smiled politely and introduced herself. "I'm Lina Luther, CEO of M78 Technology Co. Limited, and this is my assistant Jello Kent." Hearing this, Zurinder seemed a little unbelievable. She glanced at Jello and didn't find any feeling that Jello treated her as an assistant. This guy is really an assistant. Thinking silently in her heart, Zurinder didn't show much, but Jinsai, this guy had already started chatting with Lina, and he was very talkative. After some politeness, Jinsai and Zurinder went to their workstations, while Jello returned to the Sh's office with Lina. After Jello locked the door completely to ensure that there would be no ears, Lina started talking to Jello. "Jello, where did you find 2 superpowers?" While talking, Lina took out something that looked like a temperature gun, and there were 2 readings on it. It seemed that this was Lina's way of judging superpowers. "This is a long story." Jello told Lina the whole story. After hearing the whole story, Lina frowned and retorted, "This is unscientific. How can there be demons in this world? Various cosmic beings, superpowers, high-tech weapons, and mechanical transformations are the limits of Lina's acceptance. There are many unscientific things. Isn't there one in front of you?" Jello smiled lightly. It's either a cosmic being who pretends to be a ghost, or a demon that you can find traces of in mythology. Hearing this, Lina's worry became more intense, because she knew what Jello said was right. Especially Jello standing in front of her. Then do you have a way to deal with those demons? And the guy you said may not even be able to beat the Justice League, can it come to our side? Giving up the scientific or unscientific entanglement on the matter of demons, Lina turned to ask Jello if he had any way to deal with the Three Palaces demon and his minions. Jello told Lina the plan frankly. The strongest guy needs an anchor point to come here. If there is no anchor point, he can only send some men. Close the dungeon before the boss comes. Lina's worry on her face was relieved a lot, but she still felt something was wrong, so she used another method to remind Jello. If we look at the plot of the game, the final boss will always have some skills that can be forced to appear in the dungeon at this time. Is this considered a hidden plot? Hidden plot? You have studied RPG games so deeply now. Jello showed a surprised expression when he heard that Lina knew a lot of game knowledge, but he didn't pretend for long, and immediately said to Lina, "Of course I expected that the other side would overturn the table if they didn't want to fight, and I will naturally have a big gift to welcome them when the time comes." Big gift? Hearing Jello's tone, Lina knew it was not a good thing. She guessed that it was probably a high-powered strategic weapon that was more terrifying than a nuclear bomb. It was strong enough to injure the enemy with one blow, but where did this guy get the strategic weapon of mass destruction? Giving Jello a meaningful look, Lina felt that the other party had a sure win. She took a deep breath, shook her head, and threw these things out of her mind, and then talked about another matter. Leave it to you and your friends to deal with the demons, but you should also pay a little attention to the company's affairs, okay? Company affairs? Is it that woman? Hearing this, Jello's eyes condensed, realizing that Letitia Luthor's hand had finally reached National City. You're right. Lina nodded, then used the micro-exoskeleton to stand up from the wheelchair, slowly walked to the back of the desk, took out a stack of heavy documents from the secret compartment, and with the force of her arm, the documents flew towards Jello like a dart. Oh? You have also learned art technology. Seeing this, Jello's eyes lit up, and then he grabbed the document and checked the information inside. When flipping through it, Jello also used supervision. In a few seconds, he finished reading tens of thousands of words of information. After reading all the information, Jello's face drooped. These guys are really not afraid of death. Not only do they copy our products, but they even use inferior materials to replace them. Don't they know that these are medical supplies? Jello's face turned ugly, and his aura became as if he wanted to kill someone. Letitia's little trick. In the Shah's office of M78 Technology Co. Limited in National City, Earth Naught, a raw-like voice echoed in the room. If this evidence is true, it means that Letitia Luthor is willing to hurt innocent passers-by in order to snatch the market of M78 Technology Co. Limited and defeat them. After calming down a little, Jello asked Lina, "Lina, are you sure that the things in this document are true? The percentage is 83%, and you can also choose to check it yourself." Lina replied calmly. With her current channels, she could not find out the whole truth. After all, the opponent is Letitia Luthor, who has hundreds of years of wealth. She even temporarily controlled the Lex Group before Lex officially took over the Lex Group. Lina couldn't say how much power she had. And this company called Umbrella Medical Co. Limited, which is also located in National City, is a company under Letitia, and it recently launched products similar to M78 Technology Co. Limited. The price is even half lower than that of M78 Technology Co. Limited, and they've also bribed some of Palmer and M78 Technology Co. Limited's partners, making their products very difficult to sell. Internet trolls, media reports, rumors, the problems in recent times have given Lina a headache. However, use a micro-drone to invade this company and investigate them, quickly. Jello quietly chose to let Oya investigate. This matter was originally between him and Lina, and there was no need to involve Dick and others. Conrella will have a press conference soon. As far as I know, their second-generation products will be cheaper than the first generation. These guys want to fight a price war. Even if I have evidence of their crimes, with the means of that woman, I may not be able to defeat this company. Lina held her forehead with a headache. Even if M78 Technology Co. Limited has at least tens of millions of assets, they will sooner or later not be able to bear such a continuous price war. Press conference. When will it be held? When Jello heard this, he immediately thought of how to deal with this group of people, and immediately asked Lina what to do. 3 days later, Lina replied, but she immediately felt something was wrong and asked, Jello, you don't want to use those demons to sabotage the press conference, do you? Hearing this, Jello was speechless for a while, shook his head, and said awkwardly, why do you think so? There are not only people from Conrella Company on the day of the press conference, but also many innocent people. How could I do this? What do you want? Lina asked in confusion. I just want to release these materials on the day. We have evidence of the other party's crimes. What are we afraid of? Jello handed the information to Lina with a very sunny smile on his face. Hearing this, Lina still felt very headache. If it was just Conrella, I could still deal with it. The main thing is Letitia Luthor. She definitely has the means to protect Conrella and bite us back. Are you still worried about Letitia? Seeing that Lina was always worried about Letitia Luthor, Jello frowned slightly. But even Jello had to say that Letitia was very powerful and had a bad heart. If it's just an ordinary newspaper or a simple call to the police, she might use other means to frame us. Lina said worriedly. Hearing Lina's words, Jello's mind immediately appeared a figure. What if it was two Pulitzer Prize-winning reporters reporting? Will Letitia still work hard to keep this pawn? Pulitzer Prize winners report that medical companies are selling inferior products as good ones. This seems promising, but do you know Pulitzer Prize winners? That kind of person is not easy to talk to. It's very common for competitors to report each other, and it's easy to leave opportunities for gossip, but if unrelated reporters find that unscrupulous companies are selling inferior products as good ones, it's different. The most important thing is that Jello knows that there are two Pulitzer Prize winners who are very warm-hearted and will not tolerate such things. Hearing this, Jello's smile became even stronger. Not only do they know each other, but they have a very good relationship. He and she will not tolerate such things. Then this matter will be left to you to solve. Since Jello has said this, Lina also feels a little relaxed. Leave it to me. After responding to Lina, Zero left the office through the teleportation technology and headed for Ultralight. The micro-robots had just been sent out, and they might not be able to collect anything, so Zero adjusted the evil ticket armor first. Well, it seems that the limit of the reactor-like design should be the 1.5 version of the energy core. I need a more effective design that can guarantee that I can drive the 2.0 or even higher version of the energy core. Feeling that the reactor-like design has begun to lose its power, Zero plans to design a more powerful energy core. However, this requires Zero to have a higher level of knowledge. Fortunately, Ultralight has the technology he has learned for a lifetime, and there are countless black technologies in the DC world. The prototype Superior Spear can be moved to the left arm. It takes a little getting used to it. And this set of armor performs well. Let's add a transformation device to it. In fact, the evil ticket armor was not intended to include a transformation device when it was first designed, because this would save some time. However, after the first use, Zero found that this set of armor was not bad, so he added a transformation device to it. The top of the transformation device is a transparent wing-shaped design similar to the chest armor of Evil Tiger. You can see the teardrop-shaped crystal inside. The part used for holding looks like it is made of silver. The overall design is very simple and elegant. It will be named Silver Sparklant Spark Prism, but Zero prefers to call it Godlike Rod. However, in order to distinguish it from the official No. 1 armor, Zero added the prefix of silver to this Godlike Rod and finally named it Silver Godlike Rod. The Silver Godlike Rod is different from the previous transformation devices. The previous transformation devices were all folded and transformed into transformation devices, while the evil ticket armor was stored inside the Silver Godlike Rod. That is to say, when Zero puts on Evil Tiger, the main body of the Silver Godlike Rod will still exist, and it will also extend a long sword made of a mixture of Promethium metal and Aurora metal. Zero calls it Silver Godlike Sword. It was a somewhat childish name, but Zero liked it very much. It was for this reason that he changed the prototype Superior Spear, which actually had multiple functions such as a shield, to his left arm. After completing these modifications, Zero held the silver divine light stick, first rotating it clockwise, then raised it high to the sky. A silver light mixed with purple and black particles flashed, and Zero put on the slightly modified Evil Tiger armor. Chapter asks Big Brother and Big Sister for help. In the ultralight, Zero felt very satisfied after satisfying his little desire to cosplay. He swung his right hand holding the silver godlight stick, and a sword blade of more than 1 meter was ejected between the white light. It was a very standard straight double-edged sword, and the sword body and the blade were not overly decorated, very simple. The Pronthium metal that can absorb energy to strengthen itself, plus the Aurora metal with equally high energy adaptability, make the true strength of this sword determined by Zero's own energy strength. After dancing 2 sword flowers and looking at the silver-white sword light left in the air, Zero was very satisfied, and then he put away the silver godlight sword and turned it back into the silver godlight stick. After trying the prototype Zyopelian spear that was changed to the left arm, Zero felt very smooth, even more comfortable than when it was placed on the right arm. After doing all this, Zero estimated the time, and when he felt it was about time, he took the armor back to the broken watch, and then asked Oya how things were going. Oya, how is the investigation going? All the information I collected is here, and I have deleted the records, so they won't find out. Oya replied. Oya's intelligence level, coupled with the equipment of ultralight, can be ranked in the top 5 even on Earth. It is easy to check the criminal record of a company. Before Oya finished speaking, a holographic projection appeared in front of Jello. The projection showed various criminal evidences of Conrad Company and the cheaper raw materials they used. Hiss, will this material kill people if used for a long time? How dare these people be so bold? Jello suddenly felt even more angry. These guys are even more disgusting than the information collected by Lina. If Jello wants to give an example, it is a copy of Monsanto. Their behavior is very bad. Seeing more and more sinful information, Jello had an idea in his mind. Could it be that Conrella is a company that Letitia Luther uses to deal with such dirty things? Thinking of this, Jello felt that Conrella was very suspicious, so he added a note in the email that he sent to Clegg, asking Clegg to pay more attention. Jello and Lina, 2 rookies, couldn't find evidence of Letitia Luther's crime, so what about the strongest reporter on Earth? Knowing his big brother's ability, Jello guessed that there would be more to find out, so he would just wait and see. Clicking the send button, this email carrying Conrella's criminal evidence was sent to Jello Kent, who was still a reporter in Metropolis. After solving this problem, Jello lay down in the medical cabin to heal his wounds. During this period of time, the remnants of the wounds have been eliminated a lot, and they will be healed in a few weeks, and then they will be able to strengthen their strength again. After lying for about half a day, Jello heard a sound in his ears. He climbed out of the medical cabin and found that it was his brother who called the holographic communication. Hi, Clegg, long time no see. Jello greeted Clegg first. Clegg, who was projected by the holographic communication, was still the old-fashioned country boy. He looked at Jello and asked about the email. Jello, are those materials true? All true, and the real situation may be more problematic than what I found. Jello answered very honestly, the person behind the scenes may also be related to your bald friend. Bald? You mean Lex? Clegg hesitated for a moment, then asked immediately, it's related to him, what's going on? He has a bad mother. You should know that woman has some companies that do dirty things to make money. She sent these companies to suppress me and Lina. You should be able to guess what will happen next. Listening to Jello's answer, Clegg came up with the answer within a thousandth of a second. I know, but I can't leave recently. The Justice League is a bit busy. Some time ago, I and other members defeated a robot, and there are many evil, Clegg complained to Jello. As the first superhero team on Earth, the Justice League has received countless attention, and there are many fools who challenge the Justice League without knowing their own strength, making it difficult for them to defend themselves. But Jello doesn't think so. He directly asked, how many people can take your punch? 2, no, 3. Clegg thought carefully before answering Jello. Oh, by the way, Atlantis is real. We are going to go there to take a look. Do you want to go together? No, I have something else to do here. Please listen to me carefully. Rejecting Clegg's kindness, Jello told Clegg what they were doing. If all of Jello's methods fail, then the Justice League will have to save the situation. 3 Palace Demon. I seem to have heard of this name somewhere. I remember that when I was a child, there was a circus in the town. I ran to the backstage for fun and heard the male magician casually say that there seemed to be this name. At the time, we hadn't adopted you yet. Hearing Jello's mention of the 3 Palace Demon, Clegg felt very familiar. His super brain worked quickly and he immediately remembered where he had heard of the 3 Palace Demon. Magician is also related to magic. The first person that Jello thought of was Zatanna Zatara, a very sexy and beautiful female magician, but the age and gender did not match. His brother should be talking about Zatanna's father. Seeing that Jello had nothing to say for the time being, Clegg remembered something and said to Jello, don't hang up yet. I have something to tell you, Jello. Something. What is it? Jello showed a hesitant expression on his face. Batman has the idea of forming a second Justice League. He seems to have set his sights on you, as well as the girl and Nightwing who have worked with you. Claire kept looking back, fearing that something would suddenly pop out. Without Claire saying more, Jello also knew what was waiting for him, but he also wanted to use this opportunity to contact more people, so as to change the plot and make the plot that had already changed beneficial to him. Okay, I know, if he has this intention again, you can agree on my behalf. Jello replied casually. Wait, don't you object? Claire hesitated. He thought Jello would resist. Hearing this, Jello shrugged his shoulders and replied, there's nothing to object to. Just think of it as making more friends. There aren't many things that can hurt me anyway. Okay, I'll agree to it for you at the next meeting. I have to go deal with the Justice League. Bye. Goodbye, bro. Chapter Demon Attack. Earth North National City in the ultralight. Jello had just finished communicating with Claire when a black extended sedan was on its way into National City. The interior of the car was all covered with leather, but most of the interior was painted with a blood-like paint, which made people feel uneasy. Sitting on the soft seat, holding a glass of red wine in his left hand and holding aniseed in his right hand, Bashim enjoyed everything comfortably. He glanced out the window with the corner of his eye and said disdainfully, "Is this the city where my sister is hiding? It's such a boring city." "You're right, brother, how about we set a few fires? Listen to the screams of those humans," Anisida suddenly suggested. After taking a sip of red wine, Bashim smiled twice, then deliberately raised his voice and said to Saraka, who was sitting opposite them, "That's not what we should do. Father will be angry, am I right?" Saraka? Saraka was very unhappy to hear Bashim deliberately imitating his tone, but he was not as good as Bashim, so he could only hold back his anger in his heart. "Just bear it. You'll know you were wrong when the time comes." Bashim. Saraka lowered his head and planned something to send Bashim to the grave. The car carried the three demons all the way to a luxurious hotel. This hotel was booked by Simon Jones for 3 days as a foothold for the three demons and to satisfy Bashim's vanity. Entering the luxuriously decorated hotel, Bashim enjoyed the feeling very much with the hotel staff who were controlled by Simon Jones with telepathy kneeling at his feet, and came all the way to the top suite on the top floor. As their servant, Simon Jones has been guarding here for a long time with his confidant small invention Micronogenize. "Welcome to the Three Highnesses." Simon Jones and Micronogenize greeted Bashim, Anisida, and Saraka with very humble words, but they had to say them. "TSK, is that all? Didn't you use your full strength, slave?" Bashim said unhappily. He arrogantly thought that he should enjoy better things. So, a cold killing intent surged towards Simon Jones. As a telepath, Simon Jones's perception of killing intent was far superior to others. Simon Jones quickly lowered his head and said repeatedly, "I don't have the courage, Your Highness." "Humph, that's best." Bashim glanced at Simon Jones coldly. Among the people present, only Anisida dared to speak. Sticking herself to Bashim, Agnesta asked Bashim in a very delicate voice, "So, brother Bashim, what should we do next?" "Oh my Agnesta, since we have confirmed that the sister is in this city, let's use blood induction to persuade her. If she disagrees, that will be another scene." When he said this, Bashim's eyes glowed red, and there was a hint of expectation in his expression. To be honest, Bashim had long wanted to know what kind of ability his sister had that could make the demon Sangong, who had been rampant in hell for countless years, so concerned. "Do you want my help, brother?" Agnesta asked tentatively, trying to show her role. In the hell where the strong prey on the weak, Agnesta, as a not-so-powerful demon, the best way to survive is to rely on a powerful demon, and Bashim is the object she chose. Therefore, in order to have a more important position in Bashim's heart, Agnesta is willing to do many things. "That's not necessary. My dear sister, please move aside. I want to talk to my new sister." He motioned to Easther to move aside. After the other party took a few steps away, Bashim closed his eyes slightly, then suddenly opened them, and his suit suddenly fluttered, and a strange red rune crawled all over his body. "Oh, my lovely sister, I know you are hiding in a corner of this city. You only have 2 choices now. One is to find you yourself, and the other is for your brother to find you personally. Choose, my dear sister." Bashim spoke the devil's language. Simon Jones and Macron could not understand it at all. Only Easther and Saraka could understand it. Including Raven, who was training with Donna in the air raid shelter base at this time. Because of the sudden sound in her mind, Raven paused and the spear she was holding fell to the ground. The incident happened suddenly, and Donna quickly turned the sword to avoid hurting Raven. "Raven, what's wrong with you?" Donna walked to Raven worriedly, and Raven suddenly fell to the ground, covering her head with both hands, and yelled, "Stop talking, get out. I don't want to go with you." "What?" For a moment, Donna thought Raven was talking about herself, but she immediately realized that Raven had encountered a problem, so she squatted down and said softly, "Raven, don't be afraid, we're here with you." Then, Donna called Jello, Dick, and Starfire over. As soon as they entered the training room, they saw Raven lying on the ground with her hands covering her head. Her face was still very painful, as if she was enduring something very terrible. "What's wrong with her?" Starfire asked in confusion. Dick guessed, could it be those demons? Seeing Raven like this, Jello immediately squatted beside Raven, stretched out his hand and gently placed it on Raven's head, using telepathy to comfort Raven. "Don't be afraid, Raven, I'll help you right away." As soon as Jello's spiritual power touched Raven, a suction force comparable to a black hole brought Jello's entire body into it. When he woke up again, Jello found himself standing in a dark place, with no light around him, only faint cries. And a lot of negative emotions such as fear kept coming. Is this Raven's spiritual world? After resisting the negative emotions that were coming, Jello tried to float himself in this space while looking for ways to help Raven. "Our Father in heaven, may your name be honored." Jello seemed to hear the sound of prayer in his ears, and he immediately looked over. Then he saw Raven kneeling in the corner and praying. Suddenly, the surrounding scene changed. Jello glanced around and found himself standing in a room. The room was a little small because it was filled with various holy images and crosses, which seemed to be used for exorcism. Just when Jello was about to react, the surrounding scene changed again. User spiritual world. In Raven's spiritual world, Jello's eyes kept flashing with everything Raven had experienced, and the speed was extremely fast, just like reading hundreds of PPTs in a short time. "No, I can't help Raven if I continue like this," Jello said with a headache. At this time, the scene in front of Jello switched again, but this time, Jello was very familiar with the scene. Behind him were two demons who called themselves brothers. The people who could help him couldn't save him. Jello was experiencing Raven's despair at the time. Jello could also guess what happened next. When the girl was desperate, light shone into her world. It was Jello and Donna who saved Raven. "So I am so great and glorious in her heart," Jello thought. "No, it won't be soon." The voice suddenly sounded in Jello's ears. Jello turned his head and saw a raven looking at him. But this raven was very strange, with black eyes and black cracks at the corners of her eyes, which looked very scary. "I'm leaving soon," Black-Eyed Raven said playfully. After looking at each other, Jello said, "You should be the negative side of Raven." "Where is the Raven I know? Didn't I say that?" "I'll be leaving soon, brother Jello." As she spoke, Black-Eyed Raven floated to Jello's side and tempted Jello with behavior that was not in line with Raven's character. She hugged Jello, her feet were still hooked around Jello, and her breath was sweet. "Why don't you come with me, brother Jello?" Feeling all this up close, Jello didn't feel the slightest bit of romance in his heart, and was even very angry, especially when the other party was against Raven's face. "You'd better stop." Before the words fell, Jello grabbed Black-Eyed Raven's throat, forced her to stop, then lifted her up high and roared, "Listen, you negative emotion aggregate, I don't know what you are talking about, but I came here to save Rachel Ross, who I consider my sister, not to find a bitch like you." Hearing Jello's roar, Black-Eyed Raven was not worried. She grinned and laughed at Jello. "So what? Can you help her? You can't stop the Great Three Palaces demon from taking away his daughter. It's not up to you whether she leaves or not." Jello's power increased, causing Black-Eyed Raven to feel the pain of suffocation. This is a spiritual world. Physical force does not work, but Jello, who is developing in the direction of the hexagon, definitely has no lack of spiritual power. As long as Jello believes that he can strangle the inner demon of Raven in front of him, Black-Eyed Raven will be hurt. Okay, I admit that I spoke a little loudly just now, but even if you kill me, it will be useless, because there will be other demons to stop you." Before being strangled by Jello, Black-Eyed Raven left a glance, and then poofed and dissipated into black smoke. Then, the surrounding scene changed, and Jello found himself in the playground of an elementary school. He stood in the last row of the playground audience seats and saw a very lonely little girl squatting on the seat, sobbing softly. If the Black-Eyed Raven just now was the embodiment of emotions such as fear, anger, timidity, and madness, then in this little girl Raven, Jello only felt boundless loneliness. It was the kind of loneliness that no one would communicate with her since she was born. There was no hatred or hostility, but everyone except her mother was indifferent. They will take me away, right? Will they let me have friends? The little girl Raven suddenly raised her head, tears never flowing from the corners of her eyes. Looking at this Raven who was crying all the time, Jello felt very sorry for her, so he took a different attitude. Slowly walking to the child Raven, Jello gently stroked her hair and said very gently, "But you long for a real family in your heart, don't you, Raven? Do you regard the people who want to take you away as your family?" When Jello asked this, the child Raven was obviously stunned, and then shook her head, which was considered to be denying the problem of treating demons as family. "Then stay and find your real family, Raven." Looking at the child Raven's appearance, Jello gently comforted her. "Looking for a real family?" Silently repeating this sentence, the child Raven closed her eyes. Then, the surrounding scene shattered, and when all the fragments disappeared, Jello found himself in a pale space, and there was a person standing in front of him, a person that Jello felt familiar with. The gorgeous silver-white robe, snow-white long hair, blue eyes, although she had the same face as Raven, Jello just felt that she was the person in his memory. "User, want to save her? Then play your harp." Luo, you're a figure with the same face as Raven, but as holy as a goddess, spoke and gave Jello a hint. She did not call him Jello directly, but called him another name. However, her voice became unclear at the end, so Jello could not hear it clearly. "Wait, User, how did you appear here? Answer my question." Jello just said the first word, and her figure became blurred. Then she disappeared. "You are worthy at being a top riddler." Jello rubbed his face helplessly, and then thought carefully about the harp she said. As a super curly king who exercises or studies whenever he has free time, Jello usually does not study musical instruments. Until now, he has only touched the only musical instrument, which is the harmonica given by Lucifer, the king of hell. In any case, this thing was given by Lucifer, who is enough to rank second in the DC universe. Jello does not know what its specific function is. So, Jello kept thinking that the harmonica would appear beside him, as if it was a constant hint, and it really worked. Not long after, the harmonica that was supposed to exist in the material world appeared here, in Raven's spiritual world. "But I haven't learned the song yet, but I can't care so much now." Grabbing the harmonica, Jello remembered that his musical talent was not very good, but at this moment, he didn't have much time to give it to Raven. He put the harmonica to his mouth and began to play it based on his instinct. The melodious music was accompanied by a hint of desolation, as if it was for a wanderer who was about to leave, and this melodious and sacred music also fell into the ears of the real Raven. At this time, Raven was confronting Behelim in a dark space. "What song is this?" On the other side of Raven, Behelim's spirit felt very uncomfortable. Who was playing this ugly song? Damn it. However, the music did not stop, but got closer and closer, until Raven could see Jello's true face. Chapter 12. Saving the girl Raven spiritual world. When Raven saw Jello appear in her spiritual world, she even shouted out in joy. "Brother Jello." As Raven's mood became more cheerful, the originally gloomy spiritual world also became brighter and looked more comfortable. Bishim, who was still troubled by the sound of the piano, gritted his teeth, looked at Jello with hatred, and said angrily, "Where did you come from? You come to interfere with my business too." Jello stopped playing the harmonica, opened his hand, and the harmonica disappeared from his hand. He looked at Bishim's spiritual body and replied casually, "Just think of me as a wanderer, but this matter is not just your business." After that, Jello came to Raven and patted her shoulders twice to tell her that she was not fighting alone. "The song just now was very nice, Brother Jello." Raven looked at Jello and forced a smile on her face, "But staying with you will only bring bad things." He is right. I am the daughter of the Three Palaces demon. I will only bring destruction to the world. Looking at Raven with a smile, Jello interrupted Raven's words, "You are the daughter of the Three Palaces demon, but you are you, and have you brought us bad luck?" This made Raven, who was mentally depressed by Bishim's mental misleading not long ago, more cheered up, and the confused feeling before disappeared, but Bishim, who was ignored by Jello, didn't think so. "Hey, don't ignore me!" Bishim roared. Hearing this, Jello looked at Bishim and asked, "You should have used mental misleading on Raven, right? Otherwise, she wouldn't have said such a thing." "So what?" Bishim glanced at Jello, then snorted, "Besides, I took her back in compliance with our father's orders." "What? Are you going to stop us?" "You're right, I'm going to stop you." As soon as the word fell, Jello's eyes condensed, his mental power increased, and he turned into seawater and rushed towards Bashim. This seawater first covered Bashim's ankles, and then the water level gradually increased until it flooded Bashim's chest. However, Bashim did not feel fear or pressure, but excitement that had not appeared for a long time. He opened his eyes wide, and the waves were shaken away by the invisible force. With a smile on his lips, he said loudly, "It seems that you are qualified to compete with me, mortal. I will wait for you at the Axis Hotel on the 13th Avenue. How about our battle to decide her fate? Raven is not a bargaining chip," Jello said with some displeasure. "It's settled." Bashim smiled and challenged Jello. "Oh, by the way, you have friends, right? Bring them along and have a bet fight. The winner can decide everything. Before you come, I'll be waiting for you. Goodbye, interesting human being." Hearing that annoying long sound, Bashim disappeared into Raven's spiritual world. At this time, Raven's spiritual world also regained a lot of brilliance. "Let's go back, Raven." Jello stretched out his hand to Raven. Holding Jello's hand, Raven smiled, "Okay, brother Jello." Then, the two returned to the real world, and as soon as they returned to the real world, Jello and Raven found themselves being moved to a recline, just like a patient who needed surgery. Sitting up from the recline, Jello looked at Donna, who was closest to him, and asked, "How long did it take me to help Raven walk out?" 15 minutes and 37 seconds. Donna looked at her watch and gave Jello an accurate answer. After entering the spirit world, telepaths will lose their sense of time. When some telepaths wake up again, everything around them has changed dramatically. "Is it almost 16 minutes? Jello frowned slightly, then looked at Raven and asked, "How are you now, Raven?" Raven had just woken up, and it was the first time that an outsider had dragged her into the spirit world, so she looked a little dazed. After shaking her head hard to make herself more awake, Raven looked at Jello with a smile and replied, "I'm fine, brother Jello, I'm just a little dizzy." Dizzy? It's a normal reaction. After confirming Raven's condition, Jello jumped off the recliner and said to the others, "Guys, we don't have much time." Then, Jello told the others part of what he saw and heard in the spirit world. The matter of Black-Eyed Raven must not be told to others. Although she is a manifestation of distorted emotions, if Raven herself does not have similar emotions or thoughts, then Black-Eyed Raven will not appear. "I have to talk to Raven when I have a chance. The 13th Avenue Axis Hotel, give me some time, let me check it out." As he spoke, Dick used his portable terminal to check the hotel. In less than a minute, he had checked everything about the hotel in recent days. 3 VIPs checked into this hotel a few hours ago, and now the whole hotel belongs to them. Then, 3 photos taken by the surveillance camera were enlarged by Dick separately and presented to others in the form of holographic projection. It seems that this is our goal. Donna looked at the 3 projected photos and seemed eager to try. "Are there still staff in the hotel?" Jello asked. "Yes, that's the most troublesome thing," Dick replied. "They seem to have used a telepathic ability, and all the staff were temporarily controlled. That's a total of 131 lives. No matter what they think, these staff can't stay there." Jello was very troubled by the behavior of the demons like Behelim. After thinking carefully, he said to Dick, "How about we call for external help?" "External help? Do you mean the Justice League?" "That would." Dick was surprised for a moment, and when he was about to refute, Jello spoke first. "I'm not talking about the Justice League, but a relative of mine." Jello smiled lightly. Of course, he was talking about his cousin, the future Supergirl Kara. As a Supergirl whose surface data is stronger than Superman, it is definitely not a problem for her to go to the building to save 100 people. "Relatives? Well, your relatives will take care of the hostages." Dick narrowed his eyes and realized that the relatives this kid was talking about were definitely not weak people, so he chose to believe Jello. Since his teammates all nodded, Jello used telepathy to contact Kara's cousin who had just finished class. "Cousin Kara, I'm Jello, I need your help with something. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novel, as there you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels." Chapter starts. Earth North National City. Kara, who had just finished a day of college classes and was about to go back to her apartment to lie down, was sitting on the subway listening to music with headphones. Just as she was immersed in the rhythm of the song, she suddenly felt someone calling her name. "Who is it?" Kara thought subconsciously, and the voice answered. It's me, Kara's cousin. It felt very familiar. Kara thought for a moment and recalled Jello, who had been with Clark and had recently come to National City. Jello. Have you become telepathic recently? What's the matter with you? The enthusiastic cousin had guessed Jello's thoughts, so Jello told the truth without hiding it. And when Jello told the whole truth, Kara was somewhat unbelievable. Demon. That kind of creature really exists. And it has taken more than 100 Earth humans hostage? In doubt, Kara took off her somewhat earthy red-framed glasses and looked at the hotel Jello mentioned with her supervision and perspective. Although the Kryptonian's supervision cannot see magic, Kara can still see that many humans are kneeling on the ground. This is very strange on Earth in the 21st century. Okay, Jello, I will help you rescue those humans. After confirming that there was something wrong with that place, Kara decided to help Jello. After Kara agreed, Jello also reminded Kara a little, Cousin Kara, the enemy this time is a demon. You have to be careful. The magic resistance of Kryptonians is very low. Except for Clark in a special situation, the magic resistance of other Kryptonians is somewhat touching. Don't worry, Jello, I'm different from Carl. Okay, I won't say any more. I'll get off at the next stop. See you at that hotel. Seeing that Jello was worried about her, Kara also responded with a shallow smile, and then entered the telepathy with Jello. At the same time, in the air raid shelter base, Jello, who ended the telepathy, gave a thumbs up to several people and said, the matter is resolved. Next, let's assign the opponents. The strongest one will be handed over to me. I'm going to deal with that female demon. Donna pointed to Wednesday on the projection and said. As both of them were women, this aroused Donna's desire to win. Then I will, as the third fighting force in the open, and joining in the middle, Starfire also wanted to prove herself, but Dick interrupted her. No, Coley, you can't join the battle. Dick said sternly. Why? Is it because of my identity as an alien princess? Cola looked at Dick, her green eyes full of confusion. No, that's not what I'm talking about. Dick denied it repeatedly, and glanced at the other four people and expressed his thoughts. You are different from the others. You are not known by the enemy, and when we go to deal with the demons, their human subordinates will definitely come to attack Riven. What if they bring magic props that restrain Riven? That's your home field, Coley. Listening to Dick's very thoughtful consideration, Starfire couldn't help but think about it from this angle. Within 3 seconds, she felt that it made a lot of sense. The backhand must be kept, because they can't fail this time. If they fail, the opponent will take Riven away, or even worse consequences. At this time, Jello suddenly hummed twice, then snapped his fingers to draw everyone's attention to him, and said, Guys, my spy just told me that someone drove in this direction and stopped not far from here. Jello's spies are actually the stray dogs in the entire National City. For the sake of convenience, Jello also calls them the Paw Patrol. After all, who cares about stray dogs walking in front of them? The leader of the Paw Patrol is the strongest husky raised by Jello. Other dogs can't run as fast as it. It is truly a dog chosen by heaven. This place is exposed. Everyone reacted immediately. Donna glanced at Raven and said, this should be some kind of tracking magic, following the blood relationship to find it. Because of me. Raven frowned slightly. This time, the opponents were not the trio that Jello was playing around with, but the hell demons that were proficient in magic. The team currently lacked the means to deal with magic, and Riven was still young, and she was surrounded by warriors and assassins, so she couldn't learn magic. It's just a temporary base, don't worry about it, just find a new one when the time comes. Jello comforted them casually. At the same time, Jello was still thinking that magic was really useful. If the technological opponents wanted to find them, it might not be so easy, but magic was different. You have to find something that can deal with magic, or can isolate magic. Release the eyeing dame. The heavy motorcycle stopped next to Dick. Jello walked to Dick, patted his shoulder, and reminded him. Be good to him. Definitely. In response to Jello, Dick rode on the mobile soldier suit eyeing dame, and Jello and Donna also changed into armor. With a whoosh, the three of them rushed out of the air raid shelter base and flew towards the battlefield. National City, 13th Avenue, Louis Exit Hotel. Standing at the top of the building, Bashim was overlooking the city, feeling a different view from hell. What a boring view. There are suddenly fewer humans around. Why is that? Just as Bashim was about to belittle the human city, he suddenly felt that the breath of the surrounding humans began to decrease rapidly, and those humans continued to emit a smell of panic. Did they run away like ants because they knew the danger was coming? No, that's not right. After listening carefully, Bashim heard a voice. A magnitude 7 earthquake will occur in 3 minutes. Please evacuate to a safe area quickly. Did you deceive other people of the same kind and save them from physical disasters? Bashim smiled, then looked up at the sky, looked at the person who made this incident, and said from a distance of hundreds of meters, "Will this allow you to exert your full strength?" "That would be good, Brother Bashim." And beside Bashim, Ansta looked at Bashim and asked with some fear. Bashim was not angry as Agnesida remembered. He even explained to Agnesida patiently, "Oh, my dear sister, we're about to welcome a VIP guest." VIP guest? Just as Agnesida hesitated, Zero in the evil ticket armor and Donna in the Yama's number appeared above the brother and sister demons. 4 pairs of eyes looked at each other from a distance, and the air was filled with the smell of gunpowder. Zinjiri vs. Bashim, Part 1, Earth North National City 13th Avenue Lawajai Hotel above, Zero, wearing the evil ticket armor, was suspended in the air with the help of the flight system. This action allowed him to reduce consumption as much as possible, and beside him was the heroic Donna. Most Amazons actually don't have magic or superpowers. Things like flying can only be done by borrowing artifacts left by the Olympian gods, or blessings and blood. As for why Donna can fly when other Amazons can't, that's another long story. They found the 2 of us. Donna stared at Agnesida and said to her. After mobilizing some energy to put himself in the best condition, Zero replied naturally, "It would be strange if they couldn't find us, and one demon couldn't help it." As he spoke, Bashim, who was most eager to fight, had already stepped on the demon flames and stepped towards Zero and the others, and Zero also turned into an arrow and flew out, fight and with Bashim. Donna logged onto Agnesida and slowly descended to the top floor of the Lawajai Hotel. Looking at Agnesida, who was also ready for battle, Donna drew out her sword, knocked the shield twice with the hilt of the sword, and declared, "Come and fight." Demon. What a unique smell, it's a bit like us. Your flesh and blood must taste good. Agnesida sniffed the air. For some reason, she always felt that there was a strange smell on Donna, and this smell attracted her very much. Stop talking nonsense. Although she didn't know what the demon in front of her was saying, Donna only knew one thing, that is, fight. Donna took the lead and breaking the deadlock. The sword in her hand turned into a meteor and stabbed towards Agnesida. Dang. In order to deal with Donna's attack, Agnesida opened her palm, and a bone chain sword appeared with a purple-red light, and collided with Donna's Amazon sword. In the underground garage of the building, Saraka stood in the dim and damp underground garage, and shouted to the dark underground garage where no one was around. "No need to hide, human, I know where you are." Really? The voice seemed to come from all directions. If it were a normal human, he might not be able to tell where the voice came from, but Saraka could. He waved his hand and a wind blade flew towards the 11 o'clock direction. Boom! The wind blade hit the ground in the dark, and in an instant, gravel flew everywhere, and the cement cover in the ground exploded, revealing the internal filling. How could it not hit? Could it be some kind of magic amulet? Saraka looked at the direction in confusion, thinking that his perception would never be wrong, and as far as he knew, there was no real magician among the other party except his sister, and the only possibility was that the other party used some kind of magic amulet. And the fact was just as Saraka expected. Dick, who was hiding in the dark, naturally did not know magic, but he inherited some of Batman's money ability, allowing him to buy some crops from some magicians who were short of money and had a low bottom line. For example, a scum detective who has a bad character but can definitely get rid of the devil. As long as he is paid, that guy will sell anything. It seems that he didn't lie to me. This thing can really affect the senses of the devil. Next, Dick, who knew that he couldn't confront Saraka head-on, was not in the underground garage at this time, but in the hotel monitoring room, remotely controlling everything through the surveillance camera and his own drone. Before he finished speaking, Dick pressed a button, and then a large amount of holy water diluted in proportion sprayed out from the fire sprinkler in the underground garage, as if it was falling towards Saraka continuously. Holy water is produced in the deadly enemy of hell, heaven. Every drop of water is integrated with the faith of believers, plus blessings, and it ranks among the top 10 items that hell demons hate the most. Human. You wang at me. The holy water fell on his body, and the severe pain made Saraka very uncomfortable. Demons encountering holy water is like humans encountering sulfuric acid. But he was very angry, and it would take some time for Saraka to find Dick. At this time, Jello was fighting fiercely with Bashim in the sky. Boom, boom, boom. From time to time, spherical impacts appeared in the air one after another, accompanied by loud noises that even humans on land could hear, and Jello and Bashim crossed each other again. Very strong. Human. Bashim's eyes widened, with a smile on his lips, and his clenched fists kept shaking. This was not fear or fear, but excitement and excitement. Only when he really fought with Jello did Bashim realize how powerful the opponent was, and the strength of the enemy was what really made his blood boil. On weekdays in hell, Bashim could only fight with other three palace sons, and over time he became bored. After he tried his best to climb to the top of many three palace sons, these powerful three palace sons rarely took action because they were afraid of each other, and only showed up when it came to territorial disputes. This made Bashim very unhappy. This time, Bashim was very happy to come to Earth and meet Jello according to the order of the three palace demon, because he finally had an opponent who could make him use his full strength. Same here, same here. Feeling the increasingly active energy in his body and the bottleneck that bound him was about to break, Jello also seemed very excited. With a flick of his right hand, the silver light sword appeared out of thin air. His left arm was slightly raised, and a thin film appeared on the prototype Zapiopelian spear. This meant that Jello was about to go all out. He pointed the sharp tip of the silver light sword directly at Bashim, and said in a cold tone, "Second round, demon." "That's what I meant, human." Bashim shouted excitedly, and then summoned a scimitar out of thin air. The crescent-shaped scimitar flashed with cold light, as if it could capture people's hearts. Boom, boom. Two loud noises appeared in the air again. Jello, holding the silver light sword in his right hand, and Bashim, holding the demon crescent scimitar in his left hand, collided with each other. The two weapons collided violently, rubbing against each other, and a series of sparks were produced. Even the place where the two weapons collided turned red due to the high heat generated by the friction. The temperature in it could easily melt pig iron. However, if it comes to a battle of muscle strength, Jello has a greater advantage than Bashim. Jello started to exert force from his shoulders, exerting all his strength to push Bashim back, then clenched his left fist and rushed towards Bashim with an ultra blast fist. The punch hit Bashim in the air, and with just one move, Bashim's suit was shattered, revealing his muscular chest that was constantly bleeding. White mist flowed out of the wound, and the wound healed within 1/10 of a second. Let's start the third round. Human. Zinjiriluto vs. Bashim, Part 2, The armor is broken. The true form is revealed. Earth Naught, National City high in the sky, Bashim's exposed skin turned completely red in a very short time, his face became thin, his eyes turned orange-yellow, and he had an extra row of eyes, and a pair of black horns grew on his head. This is Bashim's demonic form. He usually looks like a human being because he uses magic to disguise himself, and this form is the most suitable for him to exert his power. The body shape has not changed much. Is it better to control the power? Fearing Bashim's methods, Jello did not rashly launch an attack, but was judging Bashim's true strength. If Bashim's human form is slightly weaker than his armor itself, then Bashim in demonic form is stronger than himself. As for how much stronger, he would have to fight in person. Swoosh gathered his power, and at this time Jello even the sound produced by high-speed movement became very weak, which meant that he spent more time and no longer tried to fight the enemy. Very fast, human. At this time, Bashim's breath was filled with a very strong smell of sulfur, which was very pungent. After slightly praising Jello's speed, Bashim turned the crescent scimitar in his hand, and with the burst of power, a cold light slashed behind him. Dang, another very fierce weapon collision, but this time Bashim and Jello fought evenly. His power is more concentrated, Jello thought secretly, and at the same time, he shut his mind and forced Bashim back. After flying backwards for more than 10 meters, Bashim stabilized his body. He was seen bending forward slightly, and his four eyes showed excitement. That's right, human, please me with more and stronger power. Ha 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 ha. Accompanied by a terrifying laugh, flames from hell wrapped around Bashim, covering him with a layer of flame armor. After putting on the flame armor, Bashim's body burst out with a very terrifying aura, and the surrounding air was visibly distorted. Over-limit state, open. Seeing this, Zero also opens the over-limit state of the evil Tigre armor. The biggest function of the over-limit state is to increase the performance of the armor in a short period of time. After being improved, the armor will not become disposable. The evil Tigre armor can also use another skill with Zero. Ding dong ding dong ding dong ding dong. The energy core on the chest began to glow red, and the air around the armor was also distorted due to the high temperature generated by the over-limit state. This is just the power of the armor. The next moment, Zero mobilized the energy of his whole body and highly activated his body to make his strength even higher. All this happened in a very short time, and when the power of both sides was raised to the peak, the battle started again. Swish! The sound made by both sides when they moved became smaller, and then the two figures intertwined, and fierce sweating collisions occurred hundreds of times every second until the weapons broke. Crack! Crack! Cracks appeared on the silver divine light sword and the crescent scimitar. Weapons are easy to break in a battle with opponents of the same level. In addition, these two weapons are not top-level artifacts, so it is natural that they break. The aftermath of the broken weapons repelled the two, and Bashim would not let Jello go so easily. He took the risk of being injured by telekinesis and forcibly grabbed Jello's prototype Superior Spear, and the demonic flames burst out in his palm. Now we are even. Bashim laughed wildly. At this time, because of Jello's continuous telekinesis, Bashim's mouth corners had already overflowed with blood, and the situation inside his body was definitely not good. Even with his recovery ability, it would take more than 10 seconds to adjust. Looking at the prototype Superior Spear that was forcibly wrapped in demonic flames by Bashim, Jello's face showed a sad look. Through the data interface on the helmet, Jello could slightly see a clue. The demonic flames did not cause destruction to the prototype's Iopelian spear, but corrosion. In just a few seconds, the interior of the prototype's Iopelian spear looked like it had not been maintained for centuries. Is this the power of magic? Jello sighed at the weirdness of magic, and then a thought detonated the prototype's Iopelian spear, because he found that this corrosion force was about to destroy the armor itself. The prototype's Iopelian spear exploded with a boom, and a violent impact was generated during the explosion. Taking advantage of this impact, Jello came to Behelim. When dealing with enemies, Jello didn't have so many requirements, especially non-human enemies. Ultra Explosion Fist. With Jello's light shout, an Ultra Explosion Fist hit Behelim's forehead firmly, smashing his head immediately, and the strange black and red blood plasma rushed to the sky like a fountain. Although the opponent's head was blown to pieces, Jello had no intention of relaxing, because he found that Behelim's body did not fall, and even stopped steadily in mid-air. So Jello retreated a few meters, gathered energy between his arms, and shot out the purple-black Superior light of the wrong color at Behelim. Jello stopped his hand movement until the light evaporated the last piece of Behelim's flesh and blood, and the energy inside the armor was consumed. Sizzle white mist burst out from the armor, which was the heat generated by the armor's cooling system. The enemy had completely disappeared, but Jello did not relax his vigilance. No, it's here. Relying on his trained instinct, Jello turned around and threw a heavy punch, and it collided with another fist with a bang. The owner of the fist was naturally Bashim. He opened his big mouth full of sharp teeth, and the pungent smell of sulfur gushed out. I correspond to the greedy demon. I will not die before my power is exhausted. As if trying to let Zero die clearly, Bashim said a lot of nonsense. After he finished speaking, he forced Zero back with a punch, and then took advantage of this cap to chase him. In 1 second, he swung nearly 1,000 punches, and even cracks appeared on the evil Tigra armor. And now is my true power. The loud shout fell into Zero's ears, and the storm-like demon flames completely submerged him. Then Bashim snapped his fingers, and the demon flame storm exploded and turned into a cloud on the horizon. Is it over? Useless human. Feeling the disappearance of Zero's breath in the explosion, Bashim snorted coldly, as if despising Zero's weakness. Actually, the battle between Jello Kent and Behelim ends here, because the person waiting for Behelim next is not the human who calls himself Jello Kent, but the real Jello. Ultra Armor is not only an amplifier and protector, but also a limiter. Sorry, I'm late today. Someone in my family is sick and I need to take care of them. In addition, I have to finish the final coursework, so I'm in a hurry today. Zinjiro. I don't want to fight with you. Earth North National City. When Jello and Bashim were still in the second round, the top floor of the Luyashi Hotel was in a mess due to the battle between the two ladies. Facing Donna, who had killed her twice, Agnesida seemed a little scared. Even if she had a certain degree of immortality, it did not mean that she liked to be hacked to death, and she was still a lustful demon who was not good at frontal combat. If it was a life with strong lust, Agnesida would definitely hit it one by one, but Donna was different. Donna looked at Agnesida with only fighting in her eyes. Swinging the blood on the sword, Donna looked at Agnesida coldly and asked in a low voice, "Devil, how many times can you revive?" Agnesida forced herself to fight and not tremble, and retorted, "You'll know if you try it." "Okay, you said it." As soon as the voice fell, Donna disappeared in front of Agnesida, and then pierced her heart at a speed that Agnesida could not react to. Although she had a certain degree of non-killing principle, when she really killed the enemy, Donna felt that everything was so natural, as if she was born to be a weapon for killing. Damn it, why is this guy so aggressive? Agnesida was resurrected again with hatred. This time she tried to distance herself, but Donna knew very well that the enemy should not escape the attack range, and she kept chasing Agnesida. When Donna killed Agnesida several times and the battle in the sky entered a white-hot stage, Agnesida's face suddenly changed, and the expression on her face suddenly became worse than being chased by Donna. No, you are crazy. You actually want to let him come here? We will all die. Agnesida suddenly shouted in fear. Donna immediately understood that this was not about her, but some more terrifying existence, which was more terrifying than death to Agnesida. In order to get the answer, Donna pointed her sword at Agnesida and asked, "Tell me everything you know." "The truth." "You still want to know the truth at this time?" Agnesida sneered at Donna like crazy. "You just need to know that everything will be destroyed next, because the Great Three Palaces demon will come to this world." Hearing this, Donna's face froze. Knowing that she couldn't kill Agnesida for the time being, she tied her up with a lasso and contacted Dick. "Nightwine, how is the situation on your side?" "The worst is on my side." Dick looked at the scene in front of him with some anxiety. A strange red light spurted out from Saraka, who was kneeling on the ground, and a liquid like oil kept flowing around. Dick tentatively threw a dart over. As soon as it came into contact with the oil-like liquid, the dart was swallowed up, and as the strange liquid-like oil became more and more, Dick felt that he saw and heard some strange things. "Human, you will pay the price soon." Ha 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 ha. Through laughter, Saraka released the frustration in his heart. During this period, Saraka has been suppressed by Bahim, but it doesn't matter that he is not as good as Bahim, but now he is suppressed by a human, which makes him very unhappy. After being injured by 17 magic items and dying 3 times, Saraka decided not to suppress his original sin, rage anymore, and used his original sin rage to make his father come to this world. The reason why Saraka is weak, even worse than Insta, who is related to lust, is because he restrains his original sin rage too much, which makes him unable to become too strong. However, Saraka is actually the offspring of the combination of the 3 Palaces demon and a certain human on Earth, but it is far less terrible than Raven's potential. However, Saraka can also serve as an anchor point for the 3 Palaces demon to come to Earth, but the 3 Palaces demon that comes in this way will definitely not be as powerful as using Raven as an anchor point, and the 3 Palaces demon will become incomplete. Moreover, when this process is over, Saraka will also die, and the cost is very high. But Saraka can no longer care about so much, he just wants everyone to die with him. At this moment, 1 kilometer away, Kara, who was still evacuating the crowd, suddenly felt a shiver and subconsciously looked in the direction of the Luajai Hotel. "What's going on? Is something come in?" Kara said subconsciously. For some reason, Kara could feel that something terrible was coming here. In addition to Kara, the Martian Manhunter, who was the director of the deal, also felt something terrible, and his feeling was clearer and stronger than Kara. "Jello, what's going on over there?" Martian Manhunter secretly thought about Jello while planning how to leave the sight of other Delio agents. In the sky, Bashim also felt a strong sense of familiarity and cursed immediately. Damn it. That idiot pretends to be so smart every day, but now he does such a stupid thing. Obviously, even Bashim, who likes to fight against strong people, doesn't want the 3 Palace demon to come here. But at this time, there is another thing that attracts Bashim more, that is, a light cocoon. A ray of light was drawn away, and gradually revealed a luxurious figure. He has fluorescent white eyes, 3 golden crowns on his head, and a face that seems to have been created by the best sculptor in art history, with a confident smile on his lips. His figure is impeccably handsome, and every line is so perfect. On his chest is an oval crystal-like object, next to which is a chest armor made of red and blue lines, on his shoulders a golden round armor, and on his silver body a red and blue lines, and there are wing-shaped protrusions on his ankles. This is Zero's Ultraman posture, a body that he spent his energy to condense in the Meta Realm. Although it is a bit tricky, this is Zero's true posture as an Ultraman. This is not a giant of light that is 100 meters tall but has unstable energy, or a life of light with only partial characteristics, but a super life form that can add Ultraman to the prefix and suffix. So strong, is this your true attitude? When Bashim saw Jello in this state, his face was even more joyful, and he immediately shouted impatiently, "Come and fight with me. Let me enjoy a real fight." However, Jello didn't want to fight this idiot at all. He put his eyes on the ground, and even from a very long distance, he could feel a very terrifying feeling. This made Jello realize that he couldn't stay with this guy even for a microsecond, so he teleported with a lifespan of 20 years to the side of Saraka, who was summoning the Three Palaces demon. Chapter 3. The arrival of Sanamaya and the first Ultraman to come to Earth North National City Layashi Hotel, next to Saraka, who was summoning the Three Palaces demon. Dick used two magic props to try to interrupt the summoning ritual of the Three Palaces demon, but it didn't work at all. Just when Dick was at a loss, a ball of light appeared in the surrounding space, a ball of very bright but not dazzling light. In the center of the light was a figure Dick had never seen before, but as soon as the figure appeared, a voice sounded in his mind. "Dick, you'll leave first, I will take care of this next." Jello's voice appeared in Dick's ears, which made Dick realize that the figure in front of him was Jello. "Yeah." Dick, who was about to leave, responded to Jello softly. Before leaving, he reminded Jello, "Then you must be careful. Although I don't know what kind of enemy is on the other side, even if I just look at it, I can't help but think of some very bad things. I know what kind of enemy I am dealing with." Jello used telepathy to reply to Dick, and then stretched out his right hand towards Saraka, who was summoning the Three Palace demon. Phase shift waves in the form of golden particles spread out from the palm of his hand. The phase shift wave quickly enveloped Jello and Saraka, bringing them into the Meta Realm. When they arrived at the desolate Meta Realm, Saraka laughed. "Do you think this can stop his come in? I tell you, this is impossible. Come. My father." As Saraka's voice fell, Jello felt a very powerful force forcibly entering the Meta Realm. Crack, crack, the space in the distance began to shatter, and then a vortex appeared. Through the vortex, Jello could see a very terrifying figure. The figure came to the Meta Realm in less than 2 steps. He stretched out his hand and Saraka was absorbed. According to Lucifer's explanation, the Meta Realm requires a multiverse-level strongman to see through it, and the Three Palace demon's body happened to be multiverse-level. In addition, Jello brought the Three Palace demon's anchor point Saraka here, so it is not surprising that the Three Palace demon came to the Meta Realm. "And, are you trying to trap me in this space?" As soon as he stepped into the Meta Realm, the Three Palace demon understood everything by forcibly reading Saraka's memory, and then looked at Jello with murderous eyes. Looking at the Three Palace demon, who was about 60 meters tall, with red skin, long white hair behind his head, 4 shining eyes, 4 horns on his head, and wearing obsidian ornaments, Jello thought to himself that even if he was gigantic at this time, he probably wouldn't have this size. "It's worthy of being a Three Palace demon," Jello finished thinking to himself, and then began to mobilize the energy in the entire space, making the energy in the Meta Realm in a very unstable state. "I never thought of trapping you, Samgon Demon." Letting Samgon Demon descend to Meta Realm is the first step, and Jello is now doing the second step, making Meta Realm self-destruct, and further weakening Samgon Demon's power at the cost of Meta Realm. Although this will make Jello spend more energy to reorganize Meta Realm, it is indeed Jello's biggest killer. Looking at Jello, who is gradually bringing Meta Realm close to the explosion point, Samgon Demon, who has forcibly descended here and becoming complete, will not sit idly by. "Submit, I grant you a death." Samgon Demon looked at Jello, and countless negative emotions flooded into Jello's mind in an instant. It only took 1/10,000,000th of a microsecond for Jello's body to tremble, but he still did not stop his plan to detonate Meta Realm. At the same time, in the real world of National City, outside the air raid shelter base, Simon Jones and Macron were hesitating. "Boss, are we still going to go? Why do I feel like I'm going to die?" Gizmo Macron asked Simon Jones timidly. At this point, Simon Jones didn't dare to continue working for the Three Palaces demon. It was fine at ordinary times, but what kind of guys were the helpers sent at the critical moment? They were forced to fight in a wave when they could have been steady and steady. Well, they were defeated in a wave. "Just put 2 robots over there, and consider it as our contribution." Simon Jones gritted his teeth. Hearing this, Macron was shocked and asked, "Then what should we do?" "Don't worry about these. I have already found a new home. Now the farther we run, the better," Simon Jones said while taking out the communicator. Taking the communicator out of the pocket closest to him, Simon Jones pressed the send button that he had not pressed for a long time, and there was a message that had been edited for a long time on it. "I'm willing to offer my loyalty to the Illuminati then," Simon Jones asked the little invention to release 2 robots, and then stepped on the accelerator of the car to the bottom, and fled from National City as fast as possible. Because, something terrible is about to come. When the two robots flew to the entrance of the air raid shelter base, Jello casually knocked them down. As soon as she turned around, she saw Raven trembling all over. "Raven, what's wrong with you?" Jello flew to Raven and asked with concern. Raven, who was holding her hands together, was trembling all the time. Her pale face turned ashen, and her bloodless lips opened. "The Three Palaces demon is coming." As soon as Raven finished speaking, a black and red vortex appeared on the barren mountain in the distance. The next second, a figure covered with scars appeared on the earth. "The Three Palaces demon, come." "Raven, I'm coming." As soon as the Three Palaces demon arrived on the earth, such a voice appeared in Raven's mind. "Today, you can't take her away." Just as the Three Palaces demon was about to come to Raven, a voice sounded from behind that vortex, and then a beam of light shot out from the vortex and fell in front of the Three Palaces demon. The light column gradually dissipated, and it was Zero who had become a real Ultraman. Zero was now 50 meters tall, but still shorter than the 60-meter tall Samgon demon. The Samgon demon, who had been weakened twice, ordered coldly, "Get out of here," and... Impossible. Yep. Zero would certainly not agree to Samgon demon. He let out a battle cry and chopped at Samgon demon with a knife. The knife, which condensed the power of Ultraman, chopped Samgon demon's chest, causing Samgon demon to retreat half a step. The Samgon demon, who felt a little pain, was furious, clenched his 5 fingers into a fist, and roared, "You are looking for death, human." After that, he swung a heavy punch at Zero. This punch contained enough power to smash countless mountains into powder. At this time, Zero resisted this punch and retreated more than 100 meters in a row. Even though they are similar in height and size, and their strength has been weakened, Samgon is still a top-level warrior who can dominate the world and can be the final boss in the Ultraman series, not to mention Zero, who has just become Ultraman in the true sense for the first time. Zero, who survived, took a look at the crystal-like object on his chest, indicating that the light was still blue, so there was no big problem, so he gathered his strength and killed Samgon again. Zinjiro. I'm also an Ultraman with parents. Earth North Nashino City in the barren mountains, 2 figures that look like gods or demons were fighting fiercely. Zero, who was repelled by Samgon demon, regrouped his strength halfway, released anti-gravity from his feet, pushed him forward, and accelerated with ultra-telekinesis. Zero arrived in front of Samgon demon at an extremely fast speed. Not dead. Not bad, and... Seeing that Zero was not killed by his punch, Samgon demon praised Zero a little. But Zero responded to Samgon demon with a heavy punch, an ultra-explosion fist. Boom. With the uncontrolled right fist landing on Samgon demon, the mighty fist force of ultra-explosion fist instantly poured into Samgon demon's body, and then, these forces exploded in Samgon demon's body. For a while, bulges appeared on Samgon demon's skin one after another, which was the manifestation of the explosion of power. It was impossible to kill Samgon demon with Ultra Blast Fist alone. Zero knew this very well. So he condensed an 8-point light wheel with his left hand before attacking. He swung his left hand while retracting his right fist, and fiercely cut the 8-point light wheel towards Samgon demon. After connecting these 2 moves, Zero quickly jumped back and flew to a height of 1,000 meters with his anti-gravity ability, and then injected energy into his right leg continuously. Samgon demon on the ground had just recovered from the injuries caused by Zero. If he hadn't seen Zero at the first time, Samgon demon would have thought that Zero had escaped. It was not until Samgon demon saw that his right leg was wrapped in raging fire and kicked at him at a very fast speed that Samgon demon's face changed slightly. Bang! The next second, Zero hit Samgon demon with an ultra-flying kick. 99% of the energy and kinetic energy were taken by Samgon demon, and the remaining 1% of energy, even if it was just a little overflow, was enough to burn all plants, soil, and rocks within a radius of 1 kilometer to ashes. As for the Samgon demon who took the blow head-on, he retreated nearly 100 meters before he recovered. As the supreme demon of the multiverse, he was beaten back by an unknown little devil at this time. The Samgon demon was very angry. The Samgon demon, whose body was charred and had many scars on his skin that had not recovered, lowered his body and roared at Jello. And... I want you to pay the price. Realizing that he might have only injured and angered the Samgon demon, Jello forced his strength regardless of his state, crossed his arms quickly into a cross shape, and the Spacium Ray shot towards the Samgon demon at the fastest speed. But how could the Spacium Ray resist the furious Samgon demon? Because of anger, the Samgon demon forced himself to run to Jello at the risk of being penetrated by the spacium ray, with his 5 fingers clenched into claws, and the tips of his fingers had obsidian-like spikes. Go to hell, and... With a roar, the 3 palaces demon pierced through Zero's chest with a claw, and golden light particles sprinkled from the wound. So strong, even the specium beam can only almost pierce through him, Zero thought secretly after being pierced through the chest by the 3 palaces demon. If the DC universe is compared to a game, then the 3 palaces demon is a super boss that only exists in all servers in the game, and is at the same level as Darkseid and the Apocalypse copy next door. On weekdays, players only deal with mirror images, but even if they are just mirror images, these 2 super bosses are also very powerful, and often need to form a team to kill. And Zero faced this 3 palaces demon today. After Zero threw away the debuff, the level was also reduced to weighty, which was much easier to deal with than the original level 100. However, Zero himself was only level 65, so it was naturally very difficult to deal with a level 80 boss, and he was still a solo player. Swish, the next second, the 3 palaces demon drew out its claws, and countless golden light particles flowed out from Jello's chest. Ding dong ding dong. Due to the massive loss of energy, the crystal-like object on Jello's chest lit up a red light, accompanied by a piercing alarm, which sounded very dangerous. This battle between gods and demons attracted the attention of many people. There were all kinds of people among them, reporters, wealthy people, conspirators, countless people were watching this battle. And the ones who were most moved were Jello's teammates. After killing her again, Donna looked in Jello's direction and whispered a blessing, "Don't die, Jello." Dick, who was also watching this battle, felt powerless, and outside the air raid shelter base, Raven, who was watching the battle with Starfire, almost gave up. "He can't get hurt because of me again." When Raven was about to give up herself and leave this earth that she still loved very much with the 3 palaces demon, 2 voices rang in Raven's ears. "Don't give up. He won't give up so easily." One voice came from Jello, who was being hit repeatedly by the 3 palaces demon, and the other voice seemed to come from Raven's own heart. "Help Tragediah with me, lend me your body." As soon as she heard the voice, Raven knew that Tragediah was referring to Jello, and seeing that Jello was about to be beaten to death by the 3 palaces demon, Raven didn't care about the reason for this strange name, and quickly agreed. "Okay, I promise you." As Raven agreed to the voice, her body was enveloped by a very gentle white light, and she flew towards the direction where Jello and the 3 palaces demon were fighting. At this time, Jello was being hit repeatedly by the 3 palaces demon, and the 3 palaces demon seemed to not want Jello to die too quickly, so he deliberately stuffed some energy back into Jello's body so that Jello could hold on longer. "Is that it?" And? The 3 palaces demon was still mocking Jello, and when he was about to punch Jello in the abdomen and let Jello suffer another heavy blow, a fireball hit the back of the 3 palaces demon. This made Samgon pause. Without looking, Samgon knew who had done this. "Bishim. You rebellious son." Samgon was furious. Bishim was very unhappy that his exciting battle had just been interrupted. He quietly hid beside and kept accumulating strength, ready to be ruthless to his father. But it was obvious that Bishim could not do what Jello could not do. Samgon stopped beating Jello and absorbed Bishim with a glance, and absorbed and stayed in the Luajai hotel by the way. Such a short time was naturally not enough for Jello to regroup, but it was enough for User X, that is, User, to use Riven's body to hang in front of Jello. Jello was dying and was overjoyed to see Ushlian. "You can't fall here, Tragediah, stand up and keep moving forward." Ushlian, who borrowed Riven's body, emitted an ethereal and distant figure, and then waved to summon a shield to block the 3 palace demons, and then opened her hands, and 2 light balls flew out from her palms and fell beside Jello. The light balls fell on Jello's left and right sides respectively, forming 2 huge beams of light. When the light dissipated, 2 figures that Jello was very familiar with appeared in front of him. Chapter Super Ancient Light 2 Earth North National City. The warrior standing on the right side of Zero is made of red, purple and silver, with beautiful lines. The golden 3-line armor is in a U shape to protect him, and the water drop shape colored timer is glowing with a quiet blue light. The most noteworthy thing about this warrior is his face. His face is so handsome, as if it was carved by the gods themselves. At the same time, he has the beauty of both men and women, which is incomparable. This warrior is Ultraman Tiger. The warrior standing on Zero's left has many similarities with Tiger, but he looks a little immature. His chest armor is more complicated, and he has leg armor and wrist armor. He is Ultraman Trigger. As soon as he appeared, Tiger and Trigger reached out and released energy towards Zero. He first healed Zero's body, and then replenished Zero's energy. The crystal-like object on his chest no longer sounded an alarm, and Zero felt that he was even stronger than in his heyday, and some skills that he had not yet learned appeared in his mind. Is this the legendary hotspot? Zero thought to himself as he stood up and stood side by side with the two ancient warriors. At this moment, Yuzuri, who appeared in the form of Raven, could no longer stop the Three Palaces demon, and her shield shattered with a crack. Zero reached out and caught Raven, holding her in his palm. Becoming Yuzuri's manifestation and summoning two Ultra Warriors across the multiverse was also a huge consumption for Raven. She looked at Zero in her palm, smiled with difficulty, and then fainted. He wrapped Raven in a ball of warm light, and then used telekinesis to control the ball of light to the air raid shelter base. After doing all this, Zero and the other two warriors faced the Three Palaces demon together. It must be said that Zero was in a very happy mood at this moment. Fighting with the two admired predecessors was like a dream to him. But Trigger and Tigger came here across the multiverse. The DC universe did not welcome them, and even rejected them a little, so they didn't have much time. Quickly taking up his stance, Tigger rushed towards Samgong at the fastest speed, and changed his form on the way, transforming from a composite form composed of red, purple and silver to a powerful form with red as the main body. Tigger gathered energy in his fists, and his strength instantly increased to twice his usual strength. Seeing this, Samgong did not flinch and fought back with his fists. Boom! The four fists faced each other, and even the ground shook. The scene immediately entered the most stalemate wrestling stage. If it were usual, Tigger would have to spend some time to decide the winner, but now, there were three Ultra Warriors. When Samgong and Tigger were wrestling, a very elegant blue-purple figure flew out from the side. It was Trigger who switched to an aerial form. Trigger held a strangely shaped bow, pulled the string formed by energy, and a blue light arrow quickly condensed, and then shot towards Samgong's feet. With a swish, the rampart light arrow pierced into the Samgong demon's calf, preventing him from exerting his full strength. At this time, Jello rushed out from the other side and blasted the Samgong demon's head with an Ultra Blast fist that was far superior to the previous ones. With this punch, the Samgong demon's head was shattered, and Tigger also received a Dialacum light stream, which blasted half of the Samgong demon's body into pieces. After doing all this, the three Ultramen stood in a triangle formation, staring at the Samgong demon's half-body. "Ah! I will kill you all." Samgong demon recovered in a swish and made a cruel remark, but he was afraid that he could not do it in his current situation, and the three Ultramen were also doing the same set of movements. The three Ultra Warriors put their hands on their ribs, then crossed their wrists in front of them, spread them to the left and right to collect energy, and finally formed an L shape. The next moment, a holy white light torrent rushed towards the Samgong demon with the power to purify all the evil in the world. The skill named Superiore has both high heat and high impact. In addition, it comes from three directions, which makes the three goddess squeezed in the middle unable to stop. But the three goddesses' health bar is extremely thick, and it will not be so easy to die for a while, so there is more time to speak harshly. Remember this, I will definitely come back again and take away everything from you. Be prepared. After the continuous bombardment until the chests of the three Ultramen were glowing red, the existence of the three goddess on Earth Naught was eliminated by them and disappeared from this world. Boom! The mushroom cloud rose flatly in the center of the three Ultramen. After solving the powerful enemy, the energy of the three Ultramen was also exhausted, and they turned into light particles and disappeared in the air. Trigger, on the top floor of the Luyashi Hotel, Donna was stunned and read the three names, and as she spoke, her eyes showed resentment and hatred, and no one knew why. Light space. This is a subspace created by Ultraman. After defeating the three palace demons, Zero found himself here, and it was obvious who brought him here. Standing in front of him were two young men wearing similar but different uniforms. They were Mad Kadaiko and Kingo Manaka, the human bodies of Tigger and Trigger. "Nice to meet you, Trigger," Kingo Manaka said with a smile. Zero was very excited to see the real person, and responded repeatedly, "I'm also honored to meet you, Senior Trigger and Senior Tigger." "We don't have much time, Trigger." Mad Kadaiko walked up and said to Zero, "I know you want to know something, and I know something too, but we can't exist in this universe for too long. Now I can only tell you one thing, Trigger, your life experience is not formed by simple blood or inheritance, but a more complicated situation. I still can't explain it to you with my ability. However, as long as you continue to deepen your influence on the world, we will be able to come to you again." Kingo Manaka showed a sunny smile and said to Zero, Even at the most dangerous moment, we must fight for a smile that is worth fighting for. Tragaya, goodbye. Oh yes, Tragaya, someone asked us to bring you a small gift. See you next time. Unable to stay in the DC universe for too long, Digomadka and Kingo Manaka slowly disappeared in the light and returned to their world. This piece of light space also disappeared, and Zero returned to the real world of Earth Nord. But there was a problem waiting for Jello, that is, his landing point was 1,000 meters high, and he didn't have much energy now, so he couldn't fly. Help! When Jello screamed, a figure hugged him from bottom to top. Jello looked closely and found that it was Donna. Donna? Why do you look a little strange? If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novel, as there you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. The origin of Chapter Power. Earth Nord National City. High in the sky, Jello, who was held by Donna, noticed that the other person's eyes were very wrong. It was an extremely aggressive and burning gaze. Jello felt that Donna was going to eat him in the next second. Donna. Jello tried to call her again. After this call, Donna was obviously stunned and looked at Jello at a loss. Why am I here? What happened? The little gift given by Yuandagyu included this part. Jello, who knew how to deal with it, was very calm and said that he was not afraid. This matter is a bit complicated. Take me to a more private place where others will not find it, including Raven and the others. Jello whispered to Donna. I don't know why Jello did this, but Donna understood that Jello had a reason for doing so, so she held Jello and flew to the peak of a small mountain. It was sunset at this time, and the golden afterglow fell on the earth as the last farewell before the sun changed shifts. Donna put Jello on the soft grass, found a tree for him to lean on, then sat down and asked Jello, Jello, do you know what happened to me? It's a bit complicated. I'll start with the simple things. Looking at Donna, whose black hair fell naturally and sometimes covered her beautiful face, Jello told her part of what he knew. The thing is, the reason you have that strange emotion is because you have a power that doesn't belong to you, and it's that power that is affecting you. The power that doesn't belong to me. The heroic Amazon warrior frowned and asked curiously, then who does this power belong to? The story of that person is a bit complicated. You should remember the two giants who stood side by side with me, right? Jello scratched his hair and said, yes, I remember. What's wrong? Donna replied, the power in you is similar to those two giants, but it is the power of darkness. After careful consideration, Jello still told this fact. According to the information given by Dogyu, Zero learned that their multiverse and DC universe had overlapped in some way, causing all the concepts on their side to be copied, so that some lives obtain concept fragments. These concept fragments only need time to slowly awaken in life and gradually become part of the DC universe. Raven and User actually belong to this phenomenon. Zero's situation is actually similar. The concept fragment he has is Ultraman and Raven's concept fragment is User. Whether it is Ultraman or User, these two powers will not affect the mind too much. Raven's situation is very good. At the critical moment, User can also stimulate Raven's potential and help Zero summon two Ultra Warriors to help. As for why Raven's User still has self-thinking, it is because Raven's situation is special. As one of the most potential lives on Earth, Raven has many potential possibilities. User combines with one of the possibilities to have a certain degree of thinking. And Zero's concept fragment Ultraman is one of the strongest concepts in Dogyu's multiverse. If it is a complete Ultraman concept, it will include all Ultraman concepts. When Zero traveled to the DC universe, he collided with Zero. However, Zero was not very powerful at the time and could not bear this powerful concept. Therefore, the core of the concept fragment remained in Zero, and the rest became ultralight and artificial intelligence Oya, which assisted Zero to become stronger. This was a relatively gentle way. However, even so, Zero still could not bear all the concept fragments, and in the end, several Ultraman concept fragments fell into other parallel universes. It is not impossible to forcibly accept such powerful concept fragments, but Zero himself will die before complete fusion, even now. And with the figure of Ultraman Trigger really standing on the earth, it also means that the degree of fusion between Zero and Ultraman concept fragments has reached the first stage. In the past, Zero would think that he was a hybrid of Ultraman and humans, which was actually a manifestation of low fusion with concept fragments. However, in a sense, it is not wrong to say that Zero is a hybrid of humans and Ultraman. As for Donna, she also has concept fragments on her body. Zero guessed that it was not one, but two. These two concept fragments are not good things. Jello even suspected that his two predecessors ran so fast because they discovered this matter. The power of darkness? Wait, if you say that this power does not belong to me, then who is the original owner? Donna asked again. I mean a resentful woman, do you understand? Thinking of the rich emotional experiences of the two, Jello found that he couldn't express it clearly in one or two sentences, so he had to make all the words he wanted to say shorter. Resentful woman? Are you saying that this power in me belongs to a resentful woman, and then this power affects me? Donna pieced together Jello's words and formed an answer. Yes. Jello nodded, and then continued, it would take some time for this power in you to awaken, but the arrival of my two predecessors stimulated this power in advance, causing it to awaken in advance. Whether because of her own position, cognition, or thinking, Donna was not too willing to accept this dark power, so she asked Jello. Then can you help me, Jello? Sorry, Donna, I can't separate the power for the time being. Jello shook his head, and then changed the subject, but I can make a set of armor to help you control this power. Can I only control it for the time being? That's fine, anyway, just don't let me become like that again. Donna frowned slightly. Okay, but give me a few days first. Seeing that Donna also agreed, Jello also readily agreed, and then he could no longer control the fatigue after the battle and rushed to his brain, and he fainted directly. Jello. Seeing Jello suddenly fall asleep, Donna hurried over to listen to Jello's heartbeat, and then tried his breathing, and found that Jello just fell asleep, so she felt relieved. What a worrying guy, he goes to sleep as soon as he says he will. Donna complained about Jello while gently moving Jello so that Jello could sleep more comfortably. Meanwhile, when Jello was falling asleep, everyone else in the world who noticed the battle just now was not calm at this moment. In the Cadmar's underground laboratory, Lex Luthor entered a dark room, and with a pop, several holographic projections appeared in front of him. It seems that our plan has to change, everyone. Lex said as he looked at the figures in front of him. Another existence that can affect our great plan has appeared. Lars-El Logu, the master of the Assassin's League who has lived for more than 800 years, said to the others. And among the human figures, the gorilla Grodd, who was very unsociable, panted and said in a low voice, Grodd doesn't like the guy very much. That guy is really annoying, and he smells very similar to those annoying guys. The witch boy Corellian pinched his nose and said in a shrill voice, it seems that he hates Jello very much. Vandal Savage noticed the looks of his allies and said, let's assess the threat and the plan, but before that I want to tell you one thing. Now there's another telepath and his men joining the Illuminati. While the Illuminati was redefining their plans, Batman was finding Superman at the Justice League's base. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone, see you in the next video.